Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So it's me Dheeraj here. So today we are going to start an exciting sessions on the Pythons for DevOps. So if you are a DevOps engineer or someone who is preparing to enter in this field, I strongly believe Python is one of the most powerful tools that you should have in your skill set. Like from automation to infrastructure management, Python makes everything faster and more efficient. So in these sessions, we will learn how Python is basically used in real world DevOps tasks like automation, scripting, handling files, working with the APIs, and much more. So please make sure to watch this video till in because this session will basically give you a practical knowledge that you can directly implement in your DevOps journey. So let's get started. So this is basically the today's agenda, like what we are going to discuss in this session. So I will try to cover all those things from basics to advanced. So from first, I will try to explain the basics of Python here. So inside the basics of Python, we will study about the variables, data types, input and outputs, type conversions, what are the operators that has been used. Then after we will study about string operations as well. So it basically covers all those basics of Python here. After that, we will move to the control flow. So in the control flow, we will study about the conditional statements, which consist of the if and else. Moving forward, we will study about the iterative statement as well, which consist of the loop, like for loop and while loop. Then after we will study about some loop control statement as well, which consist of like breaks, continue, and pass. Then after that, we will study our data structures in which we will study list, tuples, sets, dictionary. Then after we will study about the functions here. Functions, I will try to explain everything like how the functions are returning values, how what are the types of functions arguments are there, lambda function, nested function. I will try to discuss all those things here. After that, we will study about the modules. Like inside the modules, I will let you know like what is modules, what is packages, how we are basically creating these packages here, what are the built-in Python modules are there. Fine. Moving forward, we will try to explain some file handling as well, like what are the mm, modes, file handling modes are there, like read, write, append, bind. These are the modes are there. Then after I will let you know like how we have to handle with the JSON files, how we have to handle with the YAML file working. I will try to explain you the working of CSV files as well. So these things I will try to cover in the file handling part. After that, I will try to explain the exception handling part as well. By the way, I have already created a separate video for exception handling. So if you haven't watched it, please go and watch it. But in this session also, I will try to cover these portions here. So in the exception handling portions, I will try to cover the try and except block, then after else and finally blocks. Then I will also cover like what are the Python exceptions are there, how we are basically raising, like how we are triggering the customs exceptions using the raise keywords here, how we are basically creating custom exceptions. These things I will try to discuss in the exception handling part here. Fine. After that, I will try to explain the oops concept here, like what are the class, like how what is class, how we are creating the object, what is encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction, how like what is the difference between class variables and instance variables, and I will try to explain some magic methods as well. Fine. And at last, I will try to explain the advanced topics like iterative generator and decorator. Then after, I will try to explain the multi-threading and multi-processing as well. And at last, I will try to explain like how you should have to work with the environment variables and time and scheduling automation stuff. So these things I will try to cover in today's sessions here. So I will please make sure to watch this video till in. And one more thing, like please do practicing aside by me. Like once you practice, then only that you will get a more clarity here. So please be patient and try to listen whatever I am trying to explain. So let's get started. So this is basically my GitHub repo is there. So I'm basically trying to follow this repository here. So in the first sections, I have told you like we will discuss about the basics of Python here. The first sections, basics of Python. So inside that basics of Python, firstly we will understand like what is Python. Fine. So Python is basically a high-level programming language. That's why it's been mentioned here. Python is a high-level interpreted and object-oriented programming language, and it is widely used in DevOps for automation, scripting, CI/CD, and cloud operation. So it's just a high-level programming language, and it's a object-oriented programming language as well. And it basically be widely used in DevOps for what purpose? We are basically automating the repetitive tasks. Like whenever we have to integrate with some API, then also we are using this Python here. Python has a very rich library. So because of this, it has been widely used in like so many fields. In data science also, we are frequently using this Python here because of the rich libraries. Fine. So that's why this and Python has a very user-friendly syntax there. Like the code has been basically written in just like English, whatever we are writing. That's why it basically makes the Python more popular and versatile here because of their easier syntax and like because of their rich library as well. So in the like in the today's era, like in artificial intelligence as well, Python basically going to plays a very vital roles there as well. So firstly, I will try to like how we used to run a basic Python codes here. But before running basic Python code, I will let you know like how we have to set up the Python. So if you are a Windows user, you should have to go to this. Like this is basically a official website is there. From there, you can download those. If you are on the Windows, then you can download from here. But if you are using the Linux environment, then you just have to go to the terminal. I have to use sudo apt install python 3. So it will install the Python for you. Fine. And you just verify with the Python 3 hyphen version. I will let you know like how we should have to. Python has already been. Let me have to go to my. This is the VS Code here. So I'm basically checking whether we I have Python installed or not. So Python 3 hyphen version here. Fine. Yeah. Python 3.12.3. The Python installed here. Fine. It means we are good to we can good to proceed. So Python has already been installed. We have just verified with the Python 3 hyphen version. Fine. So if you haven't downloaded, just download it if you are using the Linux here. For Windows, you just go to there and just download those. So this all over the Python setup, so like how we are basically installing those Pythons here. After that, we have to come to like what are the Python syntax there. Fine. So one thing that you have to keep in your mind, Python basically uses indentation. Indentation, it means spaces and tabs. So Python basically follows a indentation to define the code block instead of curly braces here. These things you have to keep in your mind. In Python, indentation is going to be very important. Fine. Let us suppose if you are writing like this, if you are writing like this, if true or then you are starting from here, it's a wrong indentation here. Fine. You can't write this. Good indentation, it means it should print should start from here. Fine. That's why Python basically the syntax of Python is in such a way that it basically follows a proper indentation. Fine. I will let you know this as well. 1 second. I will let you know on the terminal as well, like how these things are basically happening, so that you get a more clarity here. See, if I'm using the same, like if true something, if true, if the statement is true, the cursor is here. Fine now? It means it basically follows the proper indentation here. You shouldn't have to start from here. Got it now? Then you have to print. Print functions are there in Python. With the help of this, you can print. You can print anything like hello, hello, Python something. Fine. And just run it. Output hello Python. Fine. It means here it basically follows a proper indentation here. Fine now, indentation it means I have already told you it basically comprises of all those spaces and tabs here. Fine, that's been mentioned here. So for Python code, whenever you are writing Python, you should have to keep in your mind that there should be a proper indentation. Fine. Okay, moving forward, we will study about the variables and data types, like what are the variables and what are the data types. Fine. Variables, it means variables are just like a containers for storing data. Whenever we are creating, like whenever we have to store some data in the Pythons, what we are doing, we are firstly creating the containers for it, and we are just storing the data inside it. Likewise, like here I have created a name variables and we are storing the Dheeraj inside it. Fine. That's why name is here a variable is here. It's just like a containers in which this Dheeraj has been stored. This age is also a container in which 25 has been is basically stored. That's why 20 age is basically a variable is DevOps is also a container in which true is stored. That's why we can consider it as a variables. Fine, like this. I will let you know also on the terminal like how this is basically working here. So let us suppose firstly I'm creating a variable's name and I have put here some Dheeraj. Fine. After that, I've created one more variable's age something and I have put a integer data types. After that, let us suppose it day of something and I have put a boolean value like true. Fine. And then some salary, true. Then some salary and something 80,000 something. Fine. Dot zero zero. It's a float value. So here this name is day of and this salary. These all are basically the variables are there. Fine. Now, what are the data types which are used in Python? So Python has basically few data types that's been mentioned here. I will let you know what are the data types are there in Python. So firstly, int data types are there, float data types are there, string data types are there, boolean data types are there, list data types are there, tuples are there, sets are there, and dictionaries are there. These are basically the data types which are used in Python. Fine. Int, it means it is going to store the integer value. Float, it means it is going to store the decimal value, floating values. Fine. A string, it means it is going to store the text or strings. Fine. Boolean, it means it either stores the true or false value. That's why we can consider it as a Boolean value. Fine. List, these three are there. List are there, tuples are there, sets are there. A lot of people get confused between these three. Fine. I will let you know like how you have to get remember all those things here. Dictionary, it's fine. It's separate. Like dictionary, it means key value pairs should be there. It's fine. But between this list, tuples, and set, a lot of people are confused every time. I will let you know like how you have to remember. List will always be written inside a square bracket that you have to remember. Fine. Tuples, it means it should always be written inside a small bracket. And set, it will always be written inside a curly braces. A square bracket, a small bracket, and curly braces. These are fine. Fine. Now, after that, you have to keep in mind, in case of list, it is ordered and mutable. Ordered, it means the element of a list you can access by their index name. Fine. Indexing starts from 0 here, 0, 1, 2. Fine. At 0th position, 1 is there. At first position, 2 is there. At second position, 3 is there. Fine. So with the help of this, you can simply access those elements of a list. That's why it's mentioned it's a ordered. Ordered, it means if they are ordered, you have been able to access the element of a list by their index number. Fine. And after that, it's mentioned mutable. It means we can modify the element of a, we can update the element of a list. That's why it's mutable. Mutable, it means changeable. Fine. But in case of tuples, it is also ordered, but it is immutable. It means we can't change the value of the tuples here. These things you have to keep in your mind. Tuples are always immutables and the lists are mutables. Fine. Sets, it means sets are unordered and unique. That things you have to also keep in mind. It is unordered, it means there is no any proper ordering is there. It means if they are unordered, it means you can't be able to access it by their index positions. Fine. And it is unique, it means if There is no duplicate value should be there in case of sets. Fine. So these property you have to keep in mind because a lot of questions has been asked from these portions like what are the properties of these things. I beautifully like made a make a tables like list. It means it is ordered mutables, tuples, orders immutables, and sets unordered and unique. Fine. And dictionary are separate one. It basically consists of the key value pairs. Here the keys are names and tools, and value are DevOps and Dockers. For name keys, value is DevOps, and for tools, mm, the value is Docker. Fine. So these all are basically the types of data types. These are basically the data types that are there in Python. Fine. Okay. Now, now we will study about how we can take input from the user. Fine. This is also very important. So in case of this Python, we have two functions. One is input function, and other is print function. I will let you know like how we can take input. I am going to erase this part here. So whenever we have to take input, we have to use here input function here. Input input function. What we want, let us suppose I want to print out on terminal, enter your name. Fine. And I want to store it inside a variable's name. Fine. And after that, I would like to print something like I will use print function here, and I will print something like what I will print. I will print like hello name something. Fine. Now I am going to run this script here. It prompt to enter your name. Let us suppose if I'm entering Dheeraj here and press enter, it means hello Dheeraj. So how it's working? We have used two functions here. The first function is basically input function and the second function is basically print function. With the help of input functions, we have been able to take the input from the users and those input were like here the user has entered the input Dheeraj here and it basically be going to stored in the names variables here. Fine. That's why with the in the print statements we have used here name and it just access those variables and it just printed on the terminal like hello Dheeraj. Fine. So that's how this basically input function is basically working here. Fine. Okay. Then after like some outputs are there like how we can uh, let us suppose we have some variables tools are there. Fine. And inside tools we have some Ansible something. Ansible is a DevOps tools are there. Fine. And I want to print something like print. I want to use print function and I want to write something like tool. This is a popular configuration management tool. Configuration configuration management tool. Fine. If I will use, then just observe it. If I will use in this manner, it won't give us like the Ansible is not going to be printed here. I will let you know. Just run it. It means tool is a popular configuration tool. It means here it's not taken the here it's taken tool as a tool. How we can use like how we can refer this. This is basically variables. Fine. How we can like access those variables here. We have to firstly write it inside a curly braces here. Fine. Now I will try the same thing here. See. Tool is a popular tool here. Then also our NCL has not printed. Then what we have to do? The one thing that you have to keep in your mind, that whenever we have to access these variables in this string formatting, we have to use string formatting here. In a string formatting, we are basically using F here. Fine. Then it will give us a correct output here. See, Ansible is a popular configuration management tool. Got it? So it's just a string formatting. That's how we are basically printing the outputs on the terminal. It's a correct way to get the output here. Okay. So this all about the input and output. Fine. Now, now move to the tab conversion. This is very important. Fine. Tab conversion, it means converting a value from one data type to another. Like we have so many data types are there. These. So whenever we are converting one data type to another, it basically be considered as a type casting. Fine. And Python basically supports two types of type conversion here. Sorry, typecasting, not type conversion. It basically supports two types of types conversion. The first one is implicit type conversion, which is automatic. It means Python automatically does this. Fine. The second one is basically explicit type conversion. It means we should have to manually convert it. Fine. That's why explicit type conversion is also be considered as a type casting here. Fine. At initially I have pronounced like typecasting, but it just the both are basically comes under the type conversion. And the second one, like explicit type conversion, is basically be considered as a typecasting, and like implicit type conversion, which is automatic. It means Python automatically does this. It basically called as a implicit type conversion. Fine. Now move to the first one, like implicit type conversion. Fine. So in case of implicit type conversion, Python automatically convert one data types to another to avoid the data loss here. These things you have to keep in mind. Why this Python basically tries to do on the behalf of them? Because they would want to avoid the data loss here. That's why Python automatically tries to convert this. Let us suppose we have one variable A in which 10 is basically stored, which is of int type. We have another variables B in which 5.5 is basically is stored, which is of float type. So whenever we are adding the sum, whenever we are getting the sum of both two and put it in C, whenever we are trying to print C and trying to, I will let you know like how these things are basically happening here. So let me have to see what we have two variables now. So whenever I will give, firstly I will show you the outputs here so that the things get more clear here. See, 15.5, 10 plus 5.5, 15.5, and this 15.5 is basically in float value, decimal value are there. And whenever I am printing the type C, it means what are the type of this C variables? It means it shows float here. It means what does? So Python automatically convert those in data type to float data types here. That's why in this case the implicit type conversion took place. Fine. Okay. Here it's also mentioned A is a integer and B is float. So Python automatically convert this integer into the float value. So the result became the float here. 15.5 is basically a float value. And whenever we are printing the type of C, it basically gives the class is float. It means the type of C is float here. Fine. So it's just the example of implicit type conversion. Fine. Now move to the explicit type conversion. If explicit, it means in explicit type conversion, the programmers or we basically manually convert one data type to another using the build function. Here are so many build functions are there that with the help of this we can carry out the performance. So we have int functions, we have float functions, we have string functions, we have bool functions, we have list functions, we have tuples functions, we have set functions, we have dictionary functions. Fine. So whenever the int functions we have to convert to the integer, we have to use here int. Like here, the string 10 is basically we going to convert into the strings. 10 is basically we going to convert into the integer. 10 is of string type. Here, a string is basically we going to get converted into the integer data types. Fine. Here, the integer is basically going to be get converted into the float. In this case, integer is going to convert into the strings. Here integer is going to be converted into the booleans. Here a string is basically we going to convert into the list here. Here list is going to be converted into the tuples. Here list is basically going to be converted into the tuples sets. Here or here also lists are going to be converted into dictionary. It means what we are doing? We are basically converting one data types to another data types. That's why it's basically be explicit type conversion. Fine. That also be considered as a that also be called as a type casting. So examples are there like this. I will show you on here. Here, see, we have two variables x and y are there. In x, strings are there, and what I want to convert this string. I want to convert the types of this string to integer. So firstly, I'm going to print the value, and then after I'm going to print the data types of that value as well. So let's check. See, the value is 100 and the data types int. It means here the string is basically get converted into the integer. Same like that, whenever we have to convert the integer to float also, we can do the same. Here the a is integer and we are basically trying to convert into the float. What we are doing, we are just using here float functions here. Fine. Just do the same operations here. It means this 10 integer is basically we get converted into the float value here. Now here numbers is show this. So whenever let us here, I'm going to print firstly the types of here. I am printing the types of num here so that you get to know what is the fine. I am printing the types of num here. See, here the type of num integer. Fine. What we want, we are basically trying to convert this integer, it means 50 into the strings here. That's why we are using a string function here. Fine. Observe it. What we have done, we have converted this integer. We want to convert the integer data types to a string and then want to print the s and the types of s. See, here the 50 is basically a string is there because it's mentioned here types as well. Here this 50 is not an integer value, it's a string value because we have used the string function here. Likewise, you can convert the list to tuples as well. See, we have this list. I've already told you list we are basically writing inside a square bracket. So this is list. What we are trying to do, we are trying to convert this list into the tuples. Fine. See the output, you will get written it inside a small bracket here. See, this is a small bracket now. It means it's a tuple. Fine. Likewise, you can, yeah, these are fine. So this is all like how we are basically carrying out the explicit type conversion. Fine. So these things are mentioned like implicit type conversion done automatically by the Python, but explicit type conversion we have to manually do it using the build some functions. These are basically the functions are there. Okay. Move to the next one like comments and documentation. These are like fine. I will let you know like how we have to comment. Fine. This is basically a Python code there. Fine. So whenever we have to write a single comment here, we just have to use hash here. This is a single line comment. Fine. It means the interpreter is basically going to ignore this line. So whenever we are trying to execute the set of codes here, like this script here, this Python code, it means interpreter is basically going to ignore this line. That's why the Python is going to ignore this line because here hatch is there. If you remove the hatch portion there, it won't ignore this one. Fine. So for single line comment, we have to put here hatch. Fine. And for multi-line comment, what we have to put here? Let us suppose I'm trying to write something multi-line comment. So we have to write triple times double quotes. Fine. And in between this, we have to write like this is a multi-line comment. Fine. It means for single line comment, we have to mention hash here. For multi-line comment, we have to put it within the triple double quotes here. Fine. Just run it. It won't throw any error. It means the code is fine. Fine. That's why these things mentioned here. For single, this is the and for multi-line comment. After that, we have some operators are there. Fine. We have some operators are there. A and B are there, and these are simples. By the way, okay. I will try to explain that as well. These are operators are there. This is addition operator. This is subtraction operator. This is multiplication. This is division, and this is modulus. A and B are there. I will show you on terminal as well, like what the output would be look like. Fine. Here the addition is 13, subtraction is 7, multiplication is 30. Division is, if you observe the division, it basically gives us this like up to few decimal, fine. Like, but whenever we are using modulus here, it will give the remainder, fine. One remainder is there. Whenever we are dividing 10 by 3, one is basically we going to get the as a remainder. That's why it's printed one here. So these are basically the operators which has been used here. Likewise, these are basically the arithmetic operators are there. Likewise, we have some comparison operators as well, like equal to, greater than, or equal to, less than, or equal to, not equal to, like these. These are basically comparison operators. Fine. Apart from this, we have some logical operators as well. Logical operators, it means and, or, and not. And it means both conditions should be true. Fine. Or it means at least one condition should be true, and not it means it just negotiate, like if the true is there, it basically going to convert the output into the false. I will show you the output of this. See, x and y, x is true and y is false. I have already told you, in case of and, if both are true, then also it will be going to true. That's why it basically gives false here. Or it means at least one is true. One is true, that's why it gives us the true. False, not, it means X. We have used not X. It means X is basically true means here. Fine. That's why it printed basically false here. So these are basically the logical operators. So we have tried to cover the arithmetic operators, logic comparison operators, and logical operators. Fine. Okay. Moving to the string operations, like we have, let us suppose we have some strings are there, patterns for DevOps, and what we want, I will show you on here. String formatting, I have already told you at that times. See, we have we have some messages here like patterns for DevOps. So if we want to convert those messages into the upper cases, or the this is basically a string is there or the text is there. If you want to convert into the upper cases, we have to use the upper function here. Fine. If you want to convert it into the lower cases, we have to convert it lower function here. If you want to split it into the list here, fine, each words, we have to use here split functions here, fine. And if you want to replace something, like here, what we are doing, we are trying to basically replace this DevOps with automation. In place of automation, I am going to use some AWS is there, fine. Python for automation. Just remove this part. Fine. It means what we are doing. In first cases, uppercase, then after lowercase split, and in last cases, what we have done, we have used replace function to replace these devs with AWS. Fine. I will show you like how we are getting the output would be look like. See, whenever we have used upper cases, upper functions, it just printed the whole string or whole message into the upper cases. If you are using the lower function, it just convert the whole strings in the or whole text into the lower cases. In case of a split function, it just split or those all text and convert it into the list here. Fine. Replace, it means here DevOps has been replaced with the AWS. Fine. So that's how we are basically doing the string operations there. So this portion done. Examples are mentioned, like we have to how we have to write a custom script there. These are fine. Okay. I will show you how you have to write. Let us suppose I'm going to create a script here and with the name server info.py. Fine. I'm going to create a script server info.py. Fine. Okay. Let us suppose if you want to take the input from the user, like enter your server's names here. So what we have to use? We have to use your input functions here. Fine. Like enter the server name. So whenever user is trying to enter the server name, we are basically trying to save it inside a variable server. Fine. And after that, what we want, I want to print on the terminal like I'm basically going to use a print function. And what I want to print, I am printing like connecting to the server. Please wait something. Connecting to the server. Please wait. Please wait. Fine. But I've already told you here what we have to use. We have to write it inside curly braces. Fine. And we have to put here F as well. Formatting. Fine. Then only the server it no the value it will take. Now I'm going to run this script here. Enter the server's names. Script this one. Okay, 1 second. Fine. Server dot what server info dot py. Okay, this is py. Py is there. We just have to use here Python 3 server sum dot enter the server name. Fine. Let us suppose I'm going to enter the server something prod server. Prod server -01 something. Fine. Enter. It means connecting to the prod server. Please wait. So here, like here, fine. What I did firstly, we have take the input from the users and just print it on terminal. We just run it using the Python 3, and we can do the same on like whenever we have to do the same things on something like Linux environment. How we can do? I will let you know. Let me have to open the WSL here, the same, or I can try from here as well. No need to. Here it is there. Okay, what I want here YouTube is there, ls these are there, fine. So whenever we want to like I think I have already told you like, how we have to run the script there. So in this case, like whenever we are if you want to run it as a dot slash something, what we have to do, we have to write here cbang line, fine. So in case of Python, what we have to put, we have to put dot slash, then after the user bin env, it means env stands for environment, and then we have to put Python 3 here, fine. So just like in Linux, also I have to tell you, in that case, we will be basically using heads slash bin bash, fine. Here we have to use here user bin environment like env Python 3, fine. Now we can run with dot slash server info.com just No such files or directory is found. Why it's not showing here? Let me have to env something server dot slash please pass v to pass the cbang line. Okay, use this to pass cbang line. Okay, is there any mistakes I have done? Okay, okay. One thing I'm doing, just remove this part, and I'm going to print only the some outputs here. Print, and then let us suppose our execute script executed successfully. Executed successfully something. Fine. And I want to show whether we have been able to get the output or not. So Python 3 something is missing there. 1 second. Yeah. So here we have to use Python 3 only, like dot slash it's not working here. We have to use a Python 3. It means we must have to use a Python 3 because that slash is basically working in case of that bash scripting. So in Python scripting, you should have to mention this Python 3 and then the name of that particular file. So whenever we are using this Python 3 and servers info.py, it has been able to execute those, give like our script executed successfully. Fine. So that's how you can execute it. So this already, I think I have tried to, it's already done like how we are basically checking the Python versions on operating systems. We have to use here OS. We have to firstly import. I will try to explain it in the later sections, like how we are, what is this OS. But right now, just understand. With the help of OS modules, we are basically trying to get the systems information. So here, what we are trying to do, we are basically trying to use the systems function here, and inside that we are just passing the argument like some commands are there, Python 3 happen version. So it will give us the version of that Python here. Fine. It means Python 3.12. This is there. So these are basically like in this session, in the basic section, I will try to cover the variables, like what are the variables are there, what are the data types are there. Then after we will try to explain the input output, indentation, operators, and comments, like how we have to do single and multi-line comments here. Fine. Okay. So the first, this one is covered. Fine. Moving to the next one, which is the control flow is there. Okay, inside that control flow, we will basically be study about the conditional and iterative statement. Fine. So control flow, it means control flow basically allows our programs to make decisions and the repetitive actions based on the condition. It means control flow, it means if the condition satisfy this set of code is going to be executed. Otherwise, it means else this set of code is going to be executed. Fine. It means here we have put a condition here. Fine. That's why inside that control flow, we have basically two types of statements are there. One is conditional and the second one is iterative statements. So inside conditional, we will study about the if else and if else statements. Fine. And in case of iterative statements, we will study about the loops here. Fine. So in case of conditional statement, so I will show you like how this conditional statement is basically working here. So I will show you on terminal here. Fine. So here what we have done, firstly we have created variables like server status and put running inside it. Fine. So we are just checking if server status is equal to running, then it should print server is healthy. Fine. Else if the server status is stop, it should print server is down. Otherwise, it will going to print unknown status. Fine. It means here we have used all three like if, elif, and else. Elif, it means whenever there is a need to use the else and if, in place of else and if, we are basically using elif here. Fine. Majorly, it has basically two blocks should be there, if and else. But whenever there is a, like if we have multiple conditions, like if there is a need to use else if like this, we are explicitly using elif in place of else if. Fine. So I am going to show you the output of this here. Just server is healthy. It means here it has met the first condition here. Fine. So in place of running, if I put some stop there, stopped, it means it is going to print. The second case is it means server is down. Apart from this, if I am putting something like terminated, it means it will going to print the last one like unknown status. Fine, unknown status. So that's how this if and else block is basically be used here. We have some nested conditions as well. How this nested condition is working, I will show you here. Nested condition, it means let us suppose we have two variables here. First one is CPU user and the second one is memory user. Inside CPU users we have 80 and inside memory users we have 90. So if you are applying a condition like if CPU user is greater than 75, and inside that if block we are basically using one if and else block also. Fine. That's why it basically be a case of nested if. Fine. It means one if is there inside another if. That's why it's a nested. Fine. So if memory is greater than 80, then it should print high CPU memory load, scale up the servers. Otherwise, it will print only CPU is high, monitor closely. Fine. So it basically example of nested condition, nested if is there. So just run it. It has printed high CPU. Why? Because here 75 CPU is greater than 75. Yes, because the value is 80 here. Then it just check the condition whether the memory usage is greater than 80. Yes, it is 80 because the value is 90. That's why it printed here. If I'm just mentioning here something, 65 something, fine. It should print the second conditions here. See, only CPU is high. Fine. So these things like it basically a condition of nested condition. Now we have some shorthand if expression as well. Just look at the syntax for this. I will show you on here. So, okay, one second. See, what we have done, we have firstly make a variable's status, fine, and put up inside it. So we just want to print server is up if status is up, else we want to print server is down. It means in the same line we have put if and else conditions here. Fine. This is also a way through which we can define like we can use the if and else. This is basically be terms add a shorthand if expression. Short inline condition. Very short. It means here if and else block is basically written in the same line. Fine. So it will going to print the output up. It means server is up. Apart from up, if you can write, it should print some server is down or something. Like let us suppose I'm going to print server status is not not sure something. Fine. Not sure. Server is down. Anything apart from up. Fine. So we have to be extra cautious while using these because here if and else statement is basically written inside the same line. Fine. Okay. So this is basically about the conditional statement. Fine. Moving to the looping, like loop, in which case we have to use loop. Loop, it means loop it basically allow you to repeat actions. So whenever we have to repeat the same action again and again, in that case we are basically using the looping. So in looping we have basically two conditions, for loop and while loop are there. For loop, I will show you like how what is the syntax of for loop is there. For loop, let us suppose we have a tools inside that we have Dockers there, Jenkins there, and Ansible there. We have applied a for loop here. For tool in tools. This is basically this would be chain. Fine. For tool tools in place of tool we can write T as well. That is also fine. But only thing that we have to put here, we have to modify here T. Fine. So for T in tools, print installing T. I have already told you here also I have used the string formatting here. So this basically T is going to be added through each element inside the tool list. Just see. Installing Docker, installing Jenkins, installing Ansible. The first one is Docker, then Jenkins, then Ansible. Fine. Okay. The same, this is also both are same, no difference. We can put the range functions as well. In place of this, we can put range functions. Range functions, it means whenever we have to iterate between the range from 1 to 4, we can use range function in that case. So just I will show you that conditions as well. See, deploying services batch 1, 2, 3 because from if we are just mentioning range 1 to 4, it means it should take 1, 2, and 3 only. Fine. 4 is basically be excluded here. Okay. So this basically comes under the for loop. While loop, it means in which cases we have to use while loop here. I will let you know. While loop, it means firstly I have in a slash one count is equal to 0. Fine. And the loop will run till the count is less than 3. And each time the count is going to be increased by 1. Fine. I will show you firstly real, then I will explain how this while loop is basically working here. Fine. In first condition, the count is 0. It just check whether 0 is less than 3. Yes, 0 is less than 3. It's just going to print running build pipeline. Fine. After that, the count is going to be increased by 1. Now the count has become 1. It just check whether count is less than 3. Yes, it's just going to print the running build pipeline second times. Fine. After that, the second is basically going to be increased to third. Fine. One, one is going to be increased to second. Then it's second condition also check whether the two is less than three. Yes, it should print this. After that, the two is basically going to increase to three. Then also it will check whether three is less than three. No, it just exit from the loop. Fine. So that's how this while loop is basically be working. So if you just omit this part, it basically be going to run till the infinity here. Fine, infinite loop. That's why with the while loop, there should must be an increment condition or something. Fine. Okay. So I have tried to cover this like conditional statement, if else, then after the loop, for and while loop. Now I'm going to explain three loop control statement. The first one is break, then after continue, and then after pass. Fine, these three are very important. Break, it means whenever this break is there, it just exit the loop early. Fine. In case of continue, it basically going to skip the current iteration. In case of pass, pass is just like a placeholder. It means it does nothing. I will show you each and every code like how it's basically be working here. See. We have used a for loop like for I in range 1 to 5. It means the value will go from 1 to 3, 4, 5. Fine. If I is equal to 3, it should print a stopping at 3 and just it break out from the loop. Fine. That's why it will supposed to print till 3 only. 2 and after 3 just it's going to print a stopping at 3. See. 1, 2 and a stopping at 3. It means 1 are fine. But whenever 3 has come, it just break from here. Fine. That's why the break statement is there. It means it is used like whenever we have to exit from the loop. Continue, it means it's going to skip those iterations here. I will show you like how this continue is working here. So whenever 3 will come, it's going to skip those part and it will move to the next one. So in the output, you won't see any 3. First, second, you have been able to see, but 3 it just skip. 4 5 fine because the loop will be goes till 5 1 2 3 4 5 because we have mentioned the range 1 to 6 fine placeholder it means it does nothing so whenever we have to use for loop when we won't do anything, we just have to use here pass. It means our code will execute, but it does nothing here. Fine, nothing happen. Fine. So these three are basically the loop control statements are there. If else are there, I've also used like we can use else also with the loop here. This also I will show you on here. For I in range 3, it means it will go from to 3, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, fine. And if after that it will just print all nodes checked successfully. Checking nodes 0, checking nodes 1, checking nodes 2, and after 2, fine, because I have mentioned the range 3, 0, 1, 2, fine. And after 3, it's just going to print this statement like last one. So else it means whenever the else block is basically be used in the for loop, it basically be going to execute at the last. Fine. These things you have to keep in your mind. Okay. After that, we have some DevOps automation examples are there. So let us suppose whenever we have to check the server status, I will show you the code here, how we have to check the server status here. See, observe it. This is basically a dictionary is there, servers. This is basically a key and value pairs are there. Fine. What we want to iterate the names and the status. This is the names there, and this it means name is basically a key and status is basically the value there. Fine. We want to iterate it like name for names and a status in servers.items. If a status is equal to running, it should print the name is healthy. Else, it should print the name like name is down and restarting the service. Fine. Name it means it just take the servers here. Fine. First one key value. matlab key. Fine. This is value. This is key. It will in place of name either it would be web01, db01 or cache01. Okay. I'm going to run it. See, wave 01 is healthy. Why? Because status is running. No? Wave 01 is running. After that, cache 01 is running. That's why it means the cache 0 running. And here it just mentioned db01 is down. It is starting services. Why? Because here status is not running. It is stopped, which is mentioned here. Fine. So it just iterate from first to till last and print the output accordingly. Fine. Okay. So with the help of this, we can basically check the status of our servers. Fine. So in devs, we have one more scripting, one more like is there. This is simple one. This see, we have a content list of containers are there inside with Nginx are there, MySQL are there, and Redis are there. Fine. We want to use the loop here for C in containers. We want to just print those. It means this C is basically going to iterate from first, second, third. It means it is going to iterate through all. That's why we are getting output like checking logs for Nginx container. This one in place of C, it firstly going to take Nginx. In second case, it's going to take MySQL. In third case, it's going to take Redis here. Fine. Okay. And the last one is this. I will show you that as well. Okay. Here we have one variables environment in which I have put the production here. So if environment is production, it is going to print the deploying to production. Else if the environment is staging, it is going to print the deploying to staging. And in the last case, we have used else here, unknown. Fine. So this is fine. Fine. So in this session, like in this control flow, I have tried to cover the firstly conditional statement, and after that, I have tried to cover the iterative statement. Fine. So in the summary, I will tell you like if, else if conditions are there, if then after I will try to cover the for loop, then after while loop, then break statements, continue statements, pass statement, and at last like what when we have to use the else with the loops here. Fine. So this basically we this all basically comes under the control flow here. Moving to the next topic, which is three. So I have tried to cover the first portion, second portion also. Now move to the third, which is the data structures there. Data structures, it means data structures in Python is basically a way of organizing, storing, and managing data efficiently so that it can be accessed and modified easily. So what is data structure? It means it's just a way to organize those data here. Either we can store, we can manage this data effectively so that it can be accessed and modified easily. It means for structuring of those data, we are basically using the data structures here. Then by name, it's already clear, like we are just structuring those data. In the simple word, a data structure defines how the data is arranged in memory and how operations like insertion, deletion, searching, and updating are performed. Fine. Some common data structures are there in Python. The first one is list, tuples, sets, dictionary. These are the data structures. Apart from this, some more data structures are there, like stacks are there, search are there, then after sortings are these data structure links lists are there, then after some trees are there. That I will try to make a separate videos on that because these are the very high levels DSAs are there. I will try to cover those portions in the next videos, but in these sections I will try to cover these four data structures: list, tuples, sets, and dictionary, because these four are basic and these four are very important. Fine. Moving to the first one, I have already told you, like list is basically a ordered and mutable collection. So list is a ordered and mutable. Mutable, it means it's a changeable collection of data. It means we can change it. Fine. This is basically the syntax here. My list items, item 2, item 3. Fine. Let us suppose this is there. I will show you in here. Just remove this part. Fine. Fine. We have tools are there. Fine. We have one list. Tools are there. Fine. In first case, we want to print it on the terminal, all the list. Fine. After that, we want to access the first element there. That's why we have mentioned here 0. Indexing happens like 0, 1, 2, 3. We have four elements. That's why the value would be 0, 1, 2, 3. Fine. If we are trying to do it from negative indexing, -1, -2, -3, -4. Fine. That's why in place of -1, it should supposed to access the Kubernetes. In 0, it means it should support, like it will get the output, it will print the output on terminals as Docker here. I will show you like how I'm going to run this one. It means in the first case, it should print the whole list here. It is a list. I have already told you it should be written inside a square bracket. That's why it's a list here. Fine. First element is Docker and the last element is Kubernetes. Fine. Okay. Now we can add, modify, and remove those lists as well. I will tell you that as well. Like these tools are there. Fine. These tools are there. What I want to append some Terraform. Fine. So in those cases, we have to use a append functions here. It means this Terraform is going to be added at the last after Kubernetes. Fine. Remove, it means we want to remove those Jenkins from here. So I will try to, okay, I will try to make it one by one. Fine. Then you will get clear. She, Docker, Jenkins, Ansible, Kubernetes, Terraform. I have told you now, whenever we are appending something, it basically is going to add at the last. That's why Terraform has been attached at last. Fine. Now what I am trying to do, I am going to comment this portion here and I am going to uncomment this one. It means we want to remove it. Fine. We want to remove the Jenkins from here. Fine. Just see. It means here the Jenkins has been removed here. Earlier, four were there: Docker, Jenkins, Ansible, and Kubernetes. Jenkins has been removed. Now I'm going to comment that as well, and I'm going to uncomment this one. Fine. It means what we want to do. We want, I have already told you, list is Mutables, it means we can modify, we can update what I want. I want to change this Jenkins to GitLab here. Fine. Just see here Jenkins has been changed to GitLab. It means we have modified it. That's why list is mutable. It means changeable. Fine. We have been able to modify it. That's why list is changeable. If you can't able to modify, then it should be immutables that we will study in tuples. Okay. Looping, these are fine. These things are simple. Tuples, I will show you tuples. Tuples, it means we can't. This is, let us suppose this is the examples are there. Fine, fine. We have this. Let us suppose we have one tuples. Tuples, why it is tuple? Because it is written inside a small bracket. Fine. We have admin is there and password are there. I just want to get it's ordered. That's why we have been able to get the first element here. So it will give us the output. It means admin is there. Now what I want to update the first element here. Fine. 1 second. Do we get any call from something? No, I haven't got any call. Okay. What I have told you. Let us suppose if you want to update it, like credentials are there. Credentials are there. I want to update something like, let us suppose first element. I want to update the first element to something different, like something admin and like password something. Fine. I want to update it. Then I'm going to print the credentials here. Fine. I think it will throw an error. See, throw an error. It means doesn't support item. It why throw an error, type error. It means we can't modify the elements of a tuple here. Fine. So that's basically the difference between the list and tuples here. After that, we have sets are there. Sets, it means it should be written inside the curly braces. Fine. So I will show these are the sets there. Sets are simple, so not so deep. These are the sets there. Fine. It should be written inside curly braces. We just want to print like it will remove those duplicate. I will show you how it's basically be working here. If you clearly observe the like this basically sets, it has one duplicate. Ansible is there now, which is written basically 2 times. Now I am going to run it. If you check the output, the first one is Terraform, the second one is Docker, and the third one is Ansible. It means there is no proper ordering. Fine. That's why it's been mentioned here. Sets are unordered. Fine. And it just remove the duplicate parts here. Ansible has been printed only once. Fine. So that's why two properties are there with the sets are first one is unordered and the second one is unique. It means it just remove the duplicate one. Okay, we can do a lot of operations on these like union operator and intersection operations as well. I will show you that as well. See, we have two we have two sets. The first set consists of Docker, Ansible, and Jenkins. Second sets we have AWS, Terraform, and Docker. Between these two, Docker is common. Fine. So in first case, we are trying to take union. It means it is supposed to give us the output. It will going to combine both. Fine. In the second case, we have basically using intersection. It means it should supposed to print only the Docker parts here. So I will show you on the terminal. See, in the first case, it takes Docker, then after Jenkins, then after Ansible, Terraform, AWS, all. Fine. And in the second case, it has just printed Docker because only Docker is common between these two. So we can do a lot of operations on these sets here. Union and intersections has been used here. Okay. At last we have dictionary. Fine. Dictionary, it means it should be in the key value. I will try to show you dictionary here. See, this is basically a dictionary. Key and value are there. Name are there. Web server name is written. Then after IP is there. IP value is written. Status is there. In the first case, like whenever we want to, okay, in the first, what I want to comment this one and want to print the servers here. Fine. And just checking. See. So this is basically a list is there. Fine. If we are just printing server, it means the list is going to be printed in this way. Fine. This is basically a list. Why this is a list? Because it is written inside the curly braces. Fine. It's not a set. Why? Because here the value are in key and value pairs. I have told you like if it's written inside a curly braces, then it should be set. But here it is in the form of key and value. That's why it's a list here, it's a dictionary here. Fine. Okay. Now I'm going to remove these parts here from here, and I'm going to get the first like name only, the value regarding this name, then after status. So just observe the whenever I'm trying to get the value regarding this key name, it should print web01, and this is status, it should print get status, it should print the running here. Fine. Likewise, we can apply some more conditions here, like we can add, update, and delete through dictionary as well. I will show you that. See, what I want. I want to add a one reason key and want to put the value as AP short one. This one I want to add. And in the second case, I want to update those status to stopped in place of running. Fine. And in third case, what I want to delete those servers IP here. Fine. These three operations we want to run. In first operation, I want to add reason. Fine. I'm going to show you one by one here so that you will get a more clarity here. See what I have done. Firstly, I have add the reason here. That's why reason has been added here. Fine. Now I am going to uncomment the second one. It means we want to change the status. Not try this one. It means the status has been changed from running to stop. Fine. It means we have updated this. Now I want to delete those IPs here. See, it means here IP, this key has been deleted. Key and value both has been deleted here. Fine. That's how you can do a lot of operations on dictionary. We can add something, we can add those key value pairs, we can update or we can delete. Fine. We can look through the dictionary as well that I have already show you. You can do this. We have to use key and value in servers dot atoms and key and then value is there. It should print like this. Key is this, value is this, key is this, value is it like this. We have some nested data structures as well. This I will tell you. This is important. Like in case of nested data structures, we have two options. The first one is list of dictionary. It means inside list dictionary should be there. I will tell you on terminal. This is basically a case of list of dictionary. It means I have told you, already told you if it's something is written inside small bracket, square bracket, it means it should be list. So the list are there inside list, curly braces are there, and inside curly braces, key and value pairs are written there. Fine. That's why it basically a case of list of dictionaries. So whenever we have list of dictionary, we can iterate in these as well. Like what we want to use, we just want to use. We have used for S in this servers. S of this name, it means key, and here as of this status, it means this is the key and this is the value. Fine. This is key, this is value. Got it now? So here it basically a case of list of dictionary. See, web01 running, db01 stopped, catch01 running. Fine. Likewise, we have dictionary of list as well. See, dictionary of list, it means it should be inside the curly braces and it should be in the form of key and value pair. This is key, this is value, this is key, this is value. And this value is basically be inside in the form of list here. Fine. Web01, DB01, Web02, DB02. That's why it basically a case of dictionary of list. It means dictionary of list. List is there and the whole is dictionary. Fine. That's why we have mentioned here for environment and sort list in deployment dot items. Environment this, environment this servers and this one. Just I will show you the result on terminals here. See, it means production server this, staging server this. Fine. Here the conversion occurs. Conversion I will also show you. See, here it is a list. Fine. We want to convert this list to tuples here. Fine. This is list. Want to convert, sorry, list into the set. It means this bracket is going to be changed and duplicate value is going to be removed. Fine. In second case, we want to convert this tuples to list. Fine. And in third case, this is in the key value pairs. We want to convert these keys into the list and this value into the list. I will show you the output. Here, what we are doing, we are basically trying to convert between the data structure. We have these all are data structures in a list tuples dictionary. It means we are trying to do conversion between these. Fine. See, in first case, this list has been converted to sets here. That's why it's been written inside the curly braces here. Here the list has been converted to the sorry here the tuples has been converted to the list. That's why it's been written inside the square bracket. Here this is key, this is value. Fine. So in first case, all keys, it means tools and environment is going to be converted into the list. In second case, all value, it means Docker and prod is going to be converted into the list. This is fine. So that's how we can do a conversion between the data structures. There are some DevOps examples are there. You can go through it. I will try to run all those. She. So we have made like this is basically output here. I want to load this and want to print the instance ID, and it is in the this is basically it is in the form of key value. Fine. So we can parse JSON. These are fine because we have not enable like I'm not going to use the AWS CLI. Just observe these result. Just observe it how the things should be look like. So in the first case, it just print the instance ID. In the second case, it just print the state. It means running. Server monitorings also the same things are there. Here, the list of dictionaries are there. Fine. See, running servers web01 and cache01 because we have just mentioned servers. We just mentioned we want to get only the those servers whose status are running. So only two servers are there whose status are running. The first one is web01 and the second one is cache01. That's why only those servers here listed here. Okay. Comparison tool between these two unique intersections, I have already told you it's fine. So in this session, I will try to cover the all four like list, tuples, sets, and dictionary. Fine. Okay. So I have tried to cover the first portion, second and third. Now we have to move to the fourth function. I think video is going to be 1 hour. It's going to be too longer. See. Function, okay. One thing I will do, okay, fine. Function. What does the function do? Function, it means when a function is basically a reusable blocks of code that perform a specific task. Like we are just starting a block of codes within the function, and whenever we want to execute the same set of code every times, we just have to invoke the function here. This is basically the meaning of function here is fine. So whenever we have to reuse the same block of code again and again, again and again, in that case, what we are doing, we are basically creating a function, and each time we are just going to call those functions here. Fine. That's why function makes the script modular, readable, and maintainable, which is critical for large dev project. So what are the syntax for a function in Python? So this is basically a syntax for the function in Python. It means def function name there, and it should take some parameters, and then the block out code, and it should return some value here. Fine. This is basically a syntax for function is there. Fine. Examples are there def greet, and we can write like it basically a case of function which takes some parameters, and without parameters also we can create a function like this def greet print welcome to the Python. Fine. And but whenever we are creating some function, we should have to call the functions as well. So I will show you. This is a simple function is there. It means we have just created a greet functions here. Why this is a function? Because it's just started with def here. Fine. This is a function def greet, and this I'm going to just print welcome to the Python for devs. Now, whenever we have to use the function, we should have to call the function as well. Fine. Greet. Welcome to the Python for devs. Fine. One second. So this is a simple structure of the function is there. Like whenever I will take these examples as well. This is a function which is taking a parameter some name. Fine. We are creating a function def greet users name. Name is basically a parameters here, and we just want to print on terminal like hello names. Welcome to the devs world. Fine. What does if you are trying to execute this function, it doesn't give us any outputs here. Nothing. Why? Because we haven't called the function yet, so we have to call the functions as well. The function name is greet here, greet users, fine. And we have to pass one argument as well. Why? Because here we have mentioned one parameters here, fine. If you are not passing any argument, it will going to throw an error. Why? Because we have just mentioned parameters, so we have to pass some argument as well. So we are just going to pass some argument like Dheeraj, fine. It means this Dheeraj is going to be feed in place of this name here. So this argument is going to be passed in those parameters, and it will going to print in place of here. Hello Dheeraj, welcome to the DevOps world. Something it will going to print. Hello Dheeraj, welcome to the DevOps world. Fine. So this name is basically a parameter, and this Dheeraj is basically argument. Fine. This is a function. Fine. And this is how we are basically calling the function. Then after we have some function also which will return a value. I will show you that as well. We have created a function add. Fine. It will going to add those two value, and it will going to return those addition like sum. Fine. And how, like firstly what I did, I have just called those functions with argument 10 and 20, and I want to just store those value in result and want to print those result here. Fine. Just see here. Here the sum is printed 30. Why? Here we have passed the argument 10 and 20. So this 10 and 20 will replace the one A and B. A and B are the parameters here. Fine. And this basically addition function is going to return the sum here. This sum is going to be stored in result, and this result we are going to print on the terminals here. That's how the flow, like this is how the function is basically working. We have one more. This one is also there. I will show you that as well. She obs. Okay, what? I think it doesn't complete. She. Here we have created a function check services, which takes a parameter status fine, and you just check whether the status is equal to running. If the status is equal to running, it will going to return healthy fine. Otherwise, or else it is going to return issue detected fine. And at that times, we can do like this as well. Like we want to store this inside a result, and after that we want to print those results. We can do like this as well. It's up to us like how we are basically writing this code. So we want to call those functions here, want to pass running as an argument, fine, and we want to just print it. See, the server is healthy. Why? Because we have passed the argument running here. If you are just passing here the stop something, fine, just observe the result here, output here, issue detected, fine. That's how this function is basically working. Now we have few types of function arguments are there. Majorly it is of three types. The first one is positional argument, the second one is keyword argument, and the third one is basically a default argument. Fine. In case of positional argument, I will tell you. Here we have created a function or methods deploy. It will take environment and version as an parameters. Fine. And it is going to print deploying version this to environment this. Fine. And whenever we are calling those function, we should have to pass in the same like order. Here environment is mentioned. We have to firstly pass the at first positions we have to put the environment, at second positions we have to put the environment version here. Fine. So this is basically a positional argument. It means the position should be same. Just press. If you are altering it, it will going to throw an error. Fine. In the same manner, like we have keywords argument as well. It means in that case, what we are doing, we are trying to we are trying to call the function like this. Environment staging and version this. It means we are going to alter this also. We can change this one. Firstly, I am going to pass the version here. Okay, version is already there. Version, and after that I am going to print pass environment. Fine. So whenever we have to pass the argument like this, we should explicitly have to mention this version and environment. It's a keyword argument. It means we should have to pass it with the keywords here. See, deploying the version this to prod. Fine. And the third one is basically a default one, default parameters. It means at the time of defining at the time of defining those methods or the functions, what we have done, we have basically passed, like we have just mentioned the default value of the region. If the user is not trying to put anything, by default it will consider the AP short one. It should print a starting servers in region AP short one. But whenever user is trying to feed or whenever user is trying to pass argument some regions, it is going to override this one. Fine. That's how this default argument is basically be working here. See, in the first case, it has printed the AP short one because we have not passed any argument. In the second case, it just overrides. It means AP short one is going to be overridden by US61. Fine. Okay. So this basically comes under the default. After that, we have some variable length argument as well. This is very important. I will let you know like why this is very important. We have some we have inside that variable length argument, we have two cases. The first one is argument and the second one is keyword argument like this. And the first case is like this is for multiple position argument and this is for multiple keyword argument. Fine. I will firstly tell you the first case here. Observe this code here. Fine. What we have done, I will going to clear it. Fine. What here? We have created one functions here, install tool. Fine. Inside that, we have used one like variable length argument is there, tools. It means our the number of argument is not going to be fixed here. We can pass any number of argument is there. That's why we just mentioned here 40 in tools. It is going to print like installing something something. So in first cases, what I'm trying to start with the three, like we have passed three argument. I'm checking what it should supposed to print. So it just printed installing Docker, installing Jenkins, and installing Terraform. Now I'm going to Argo CD, Argo CD, fine, Argo CD. Now I'm trying to run this. Now it has printed install Argo CD as well. Now I'm going to again something like Sonar Cube something. Fine. So it should supposed to print that as well. Sonar installing Sonar Cube. It means here the number of argument whichever we are passing or number of parameters is not fixed. Fine. That's why it's basically becomes under the variable length argument. Fine. But one thing that we have to do, we have to yeah, here tools are there. It means we these all are tools. Fine. Okay. Just like same, we have multiple keyword argument as well. Just observe this as well. If you clearly observes, I have a function show server details in which I just mentioned double star here. Double star, it means it just case of for multiple keywords argument. Fine. Single star, it means it will case of multiple positional argument. Fine. So we are just using a for loop like key and value in server dot items. It means it's a multiple. It means it should be in the value of key and value pair. So what I want, firstly, I have put the names here, then IP address, then a status is there. After that, I will try to put one more something like names IP status is there. Then after servers, we can try with some other as well, like memory something, a space something, a space. We are just checking a space. We are just checking whether this space is full or not. The space full, fine, something. So what we are trying to do, we are just trying to put key in the value of key and value, fine. That's why we just at the time of passing it in the as an argument, we should have to mention keywords as well. These are the keywords: names, IP, status, fine. So just run it. First name, then IP, then a status, then a space. Likewise, you can increase any numbers, fine. But it should always be in the form of key and value. So this is basically the examples of multiple keywords, fine. Okay. The next one is a scope of like we have two variables, local variables and global variables. I will let you know what's the difference between these two here. What is local variables and what is the global variables there. Here we have one variable is their count in which I have stored the value 5 and it should be globally fine. Now I have created one methods here functions here. increase, and inside increase I have declared one more variables which is 10. Fine. And I want to firstly print the inside functions here and want to print the inside variables, and after that I am going to firstly call those functions and want to print the outside functions here. So whenever we are trying to get the inside function, it is supposed to give us the inner this one. It is supposed to print the 10 here in inside function, and then outside function it is supposed to print the 5 here. So this is basically a global variables, and this is basically local variables are there. Local variables are always be declared inside the function. Global variables are always be outside the function. That's why global variables can be accessed anywhere in the programs, but local variables can be accessed only inside those functions. Fine. See, inside functions 10 and outside function 5. So this is about the scope of variables local and global. Then we have some lambda functions are there. This is also very important. Lambda function, how we are using these lambda functions here. See, okay, it's not copied here. Why? See, we have observed the syntax for this lambda function here. We have used lambda here, then x, then column x into x. It means we are trying to get the square of some numbers. Fine. And I want to print it inside a square variables, and I want to, and in that case, what we are trying to do, you may get confused. So I am trying to print in this manner like result. Fine. And now I am going to print the result here. Now it's fine. It means what we are trying to do. Firstly, we are trying to use the lambda function with the help of lambda function. We want to get a square of those numbers and want to store it in a square variables. Fine. And this result is basically so whenever we are calling this square functions here, fine. If this is lambda function, whenever we are passing the argument as 4, it is going to be printed here. See, this is 16. We can try with some q as well. It will print the q. Fine. So likewise, you can use lambda function. We can apply here conditions. Fine. In the same manner, we have one more examples here. This is regarding a DevOps here. What we want to do, we have this list there. Fine. We have this list there. Inside the status of the servers are mentioned here: running, stopped, running, and terminated. Fine. We want to use filter functions here. Firstly, we want to, with the help of lambda function, we want to apply the conditions like those. I want to get the result of only those which has the status running. Fine. And I want to use filter function here, and it should convert those filter function into the list. And I want to convert it into this running here. I want to print it as a active servers this running. So like how this output would be look like active servers are this and this only. It means we have just applied here filter function here, and with the help of this we have just convert those output into the list here. That's why it's been written inside the square bracket here. Fine. Firstly, we have applied the condition with the help of lambda function. After that, we have applied the filter function, and then we have basically converted those output into the list and just stored it inside the running here, running variables there. Fine, and just print here. So that's how this lambda function is basically working. For server check history, these are the simples. These are not so. Uh, these are simples. I will quickly execute these on the terminal so that you get clarity. This is check check health. Check health. This one is there, and I have to call those as well. We have created a like in this check health is basically a function either which takes a parameter server name and a status and just applying condition if server is equal to this it's supposed to retrieve this otherwise this. So for this we have to call the functions as well. That's why we are calling these functions here. So in the first case, as we have passed the argument web01 and running, that's why it's just printed web01 is running. First conditions here. And second condition, it is a stop. That's why it's just print the second conditions here. These are simple, not so hard. Then this, I will show you that as well. No worries. See, we have created the minus ec2 instance. Actions are there and the instance IDs are there. Fine. So whenever we are calling the function, we have to firstly put argument as the actions start. That's and this here. It means it just print the first conditions here. Starting ec2 instance here. Then we have disk space checker as well. Then log analyzes something are there. Here we have here I will show you like how this code is basically working here. What we want. Firstly, we have created a function check disk space. Fine. And it just take argument like it just take parameters like server name. Fine. With the help of this, firstly, we have imported this random module here. And with the help of random module, we are generating a number between 50 to 95 every time. Fine, a random numbers between 50 to 95. And those value is basically be going inside, is going to be stored inside the uses. Fine. And it should print that this user is this. And then we have applied a condition like if the user exceeds 85%, it should print hard disk uses cleanup required. Fine. And whenever we are calling those functions here, we should have to pass servers. Yeah, this is fine, but the catch is like this, like why we are imported this random modules here because we want to create every times a random number between 50 to 95. Fine. I will show you the result like how these things are happening here. See, in first case disk space is 83, it means it's not greater than 85, that's why it's not printed here. I'm going to execute again. 78, it's also fine. Here 89, it means it just exceeds 85 here. That's why it's printed high disk uses. If you observe it, every times this uses like this value is going to be a random value is generating between 50 to 95. This should value is always greater than between 50 to 95. Fine. That's why we have used here random modules here. These things here, it's basically be frequently used in DevOps here. Like if you will work in DevOps, these things are frequently be used there. Then we have log analyzer as well. I will let you know what this code is trying to do. Log analyzer. What I did, firstly, I have created a random logs here. Fine. Inside some errors are there. What I want, firstly, I've created a count error functions here. Fine. And it takes logs, these logs as basically a parameters. Fine. So whenever like firstly I have initialized error count as 0, fine. And then I have used a for loop like and I want to traverse through those like each lines line by line. For lines in these logs, if error is in line, count is going to be increased by 1 every time. It means whenever we are trying to traverse through the files, firstly it will check the first line whether it has error no. It will traverse to the second one whether it has error yes. If the error count is 0, it will increase the error count to 2. In the same way, here the error count is going to be increased by one more. Fine. And at last, this count error function is going to return the error count here. That's why we are getting the total error count as I will let you know like how the output would be look like. It is supposed to give us the 2. Why 2? Because only 2 errors are there. First one is there, second one is there. Fine. So that's how we can use there. Dynamic resource allocator, this also are simple here. It means we have just created a allocate resource. It means we are just going to allocate those number of service. Fine. So whenever we are calling this allocate resource, we are just passing EC2 instance 3. So 3 is going to be taken place of it going to feed for the quantity here, and EC2 instance is going to feed for the resource type here. So it will print the result accordingly, allocating 3 EC2 instance like this. Then we have some nested functions as well. It means if one function is inside another functions, we can consider it as a nested function, just like a nested if that I have told you. One dev, like one function is there, DevOps pipeline. Inside that we have two more functions. Build function is there and deploy function is there. But one thing that you have to keep in your mind while we are defining functions, if you're not calling those functions, we are not supposed to get the outputs here. It means we should explicitly trying to call those functions. Fine. So here function is basically we define inside a function. That's why uh, in this is like Deos pipeline function there we have called here. Inside that two more functions are there. Build functions are there which will print building code. Deploy functions are there which is going to print deployment to servers. And firstly we have called the build function. Then after we are calling the deploy function. It means the wholly it will basically a case of nested functions here. Fine. I just run it. Then it will show this output and this output. Fine. So in these sections, in this function sections, I have tried to cover the functions. Then after I will try to cover the argument here, how we are returning the value from a functions, what are the default argument. Then for multiple argument, I have tried to cover that portions as well. What is lambda function and what are the scope variables? It means global and instance variables. Fine, local variables. So I have tried to cover these portions. Next one is so I have tried to cover the first portion, second portion, third portion, and fourth portion. It means basics of Python has been covered, control flow is covered, data structure is covered, functions are covered. Now we have to move to the modules and package. After that, I will try to cover file landing. The lot of portions are there. Just 1 second. I will take a short break. 1 second. Give me 2 minutes. Okay, I'm back. So now we have to explain the modules and packages. Fine. Okay, let me have to go to my modules and packages here. Now the first question is what is modules? Fine. Hmm. Okay, let it be. Don't worry. What is modules? It means what is modules? So modules is nothing, just a Python file is there. Fine. Going to increase the brightness here. Fine. It is nothing, just a Python file that contains functions, variables, and classes that you can reuse in your script. It means whenever we are creating a Python file, it will consist of those functions. We can simply create a Python file and we can create a custom modules as well. It means we whatever the files that has been indexed with that has extension .py, we can call it as a modules. But modules, it means whenever we are referring those files for any operation, then only we can consider it as a module. Otherwise, we can consider it as a Python file. Fine. How? Why? Like how this should happen? I will let you know. 1 second. Give me 1 second. I'm going to create one modules here. Fine. I'm going to save it and I want to create a modules with a name DevOps Fine. DevOps utils.py. Fine. And I want to paste like I want to print I want to paste all those things here. It means what I want. Oh, I have done. I have created a Python file in which I have mentioned four functions here. Start server functions are there. stop functions are there, and get status functions are there. And all those functions are going to take a server name as a parameter. Fine. It means whenever we are feeding server name, it will going to print like start server will going to start server function is going to print starting servers, stop server is going to print stopping servers, and get status function is going to print the this checking status of servers. It basically be saved in the DevOps utils.file. Fine. Now I'm going to create one more Python files which is main.py. Fine. Main.py. Fine. This is main.py. Now what I want to use those modules here. Because here what I have done, I'm just going to import those here. See, here DevOps utils are there, but inside main.py, I'm going to import those modules and want to use those functions here. Fine. So whenever we are importing, we just have to use the modules here, then after dot, and then the functions of those modules, and then have to pass the argument here. So first, in each in each functions, I'm going to pass the same argument here, but I'm just checking like how this module is basically working. So we just have to run this main.py here. Fine. Main.py just enter it means starting server this, checking status is stopping this. Fine. It means we have been able to use those modules here. Fine. So modules are nothing just a Python file which basically consists all like functions, variables, and classes. So here we have used this DevOps utils dot modules, and how we have used how we can firstly we have to import it, then have to use all those functions from there. So this is how we are basically creating and importing a custom modules here. So this is basically example of how we are creating and importing a custom modules. So likewise, we have some like built-in Python modules as well. Like we have operating systems, OS modules are there, sys modules are there, sub-processors modules are there, SSUtils modules are there, JSON are there, and datetimes are there. Operating system modules, it means it is used to interact with the operating systems. Like we can handle the files and directories operation inside it. Fine. Sys modules, it means whenever we have to access some systems specific parameters, we should have to use sys modules there. Like path or some exit files, we can use with the help of these sys modules there. Then we have sub-process modules are also there, which is used to run the shell commands. Like whenever there is a need to execute the Linux command, we should have to use the sub-processes modules there. After that, we have one more SHUtils modules is there. It is used for high level file operations like copy, move, or delete. Fine. We have some JSON modules also there. Like whenever we have to work with some JSON data, we are basically using JSON modules there. Then we have date times module is there. It means whenever we have to handle the times on date, like whenever we have to archive some files or we have to store something, we have to archive those logs files and have to put some stamps with timestamp with that, we can use date times module in that cases. Fine. So these are basically the types of built-in Python modules. Fine. So I will try to give you examples of one by one. The first one is operating systems modules. So what it does, it basically used to interact with the operating system. So I will run this, copy this, and will tell you how main the py is there now. Okay. I'm not going to, sorry, Control Z, fine. I'm going in servers. Servers are fine. Script.py, this is fine. What I have done, firstly, I have imported those operating systems, fine. So in the first case, I want to check the current, in the first case, I want to check the, one second. Here I'm going to create one, I'm going to delete this part here, and I'm going to create a folder here which is users. Fine. Now fine. And I'm going to mention here users, and I'm going to create a one directory inside users and want to check list all those, and inside that user, 1 second, I will let you know. ls users are there, users, fine. Then after file.txt, I'm going to create one file inside those, touch, fine. Now cd dot slash, now fine. What I want to do. So with the help of OS module, it means operating systems module, we have to interact with the operating system. So in first cases, I am going to print one by one. I will tell you. In the first cases, I am going to print the current working directory. Fine. So let me have to run this. Our current working directory is this. It means it just printed the current working directory. This is fine. Okay, no worries. Now I want to change to the directory there. Fine. Right now I'm in YouTube. I want to change the directory. That's why I just mentioned here. Here for current working directory, we have used get cwd current working directory. Fine. Here for change directory, I'm just using the function chdir, which is inside that operating system. Here we have used the get cwd function to get the current working directory. Here I have used the chdr function, which is inside the operating systems module. Fine. To change the directories. Okay, I'm if you now our directory has been changed. Fine. If I'm using pwd here, whenever you are just running this, it means our directory has been changed. Now I'm going to create a new directory inside those users. Fine. So I'm going to uncomment it and want to run it again. It means if you observe inside that users, one more directory is created, which is test directory. Fine. Okay, fine. Now I'm going to comment these two and want to remove those directories there. So for creating directory, we have used mkdir function. For remove directory, I am going to use rmdir. So this directory is going to be get removed from here. Here I have to use chain directory as well. Then I have to mention this. I think so. Just it means this directory has been removed. Fine. Now I am going to list those files whichever I have created inside that with the help of list dir. List dir functions are there, which is used to get the which is used to print the list of all those files and directories. Fine. It has printed file.txt. So if you just go and if you go inside the users, there is file.txt is there. Fine. It just printed those. If I'm going to create one more files there, let us suppose I'm going to create one more files new.txt. Fine. And okay, where here, and I'm going to run this script again. It is going to print one more file.txt and new.txt. It means that's how we can basically interact with the operating systems with the help of OS modules. Fine. Here we have used get cwd function. Here we have used csdr function, then mkdir function, then rmdir function, and list directories function. Fine. So this all that all was the operating systems modules. Okay. Now I'm going to like here I have used with the directories here. Same like we can use with files as well. Like whenever we have to rename such files, we can like older.txt. I'm going to rename it to new.txt. We can use rename functions here. If you want to remove some file, we can use remove functions. So likewise, you can do a lot of operations with files as well. So this all comes under the operating systems modules. Now move to the sys modules there. This is basically a sys modules. So I just imported firstly wherever like whichever modules we want to use. Firstly, we have to import those modules. Fine. So sys modules. Firstly, I have imported sys modules. So what for what purpose we are using sys modules? Sys module it means whenever we have to access some system specific parameters. Fine. It means we here we want to get the system's version here, Python version there. Then after we want to get the path, like it will show the list of all those directories Python searches for these modules. Then after I want to like if I am trying to pass any argument, it will show the command line argument as well. And at last it is going to be printed like exiting a script. Fine. So I will tell you that as well. Like whenever we are trying to I am trying to pass argument like hello Dheeraj. Fine. Press enter. So in the first cases, Python version has been printed, fine. Then after these all are the system path, fine. These all are whatever I have highlighted, these all are the system path here. The third one is command line argument. It means I have just passed Dheeraj hello Dheeraj here. That's why the first argument is skip.py, then after hello, and this is the Dheeraj here. This is zero index. It basically be text in the form of list. So this is at zero index, this is one index, this is two index, fine. And at last it just printed exiting a script, fine. So that is how you can interact with the systems, fine. So whenever there is a need to interact with the systems, we should explicitly have to use the sys modules there. Okay, then after we have sub processes modules. Sub-processor modules, it means whenever there is a need to run the shell commands. Like in the first case, what we want to do, firstly, we have just imported the sub-process, and inside that sub-process, there is a function get output function is there, in which I have just passed uptime. Fine. Uptime is command in Linux which you use to get the output like how long the system has been running, from how long the system has been running. If I will tell you here uptime uptime, just put uptime here, it means it will show our system has been running since 2 hours. Fine. Okay. Now uptime basically we're going to print it inside this output, and I'm going to get printed like server uptime this. And after that I'm going to use one more function which is run, and inside that I'm going to use ls-l. It means it's just going to print all those files and folder there. So I'm going to run this script here. Just see. If you observe it, you may clearly see in the first section it just printed server uptime this one, fine. And in the second cases it just ls-l, it means this is the output of ls-l. It means it just lists all those files and directories. Users is directory this is there, and these all are files are there, fine. So with the help of sub processes we can run the shell commands there, fine. Okay. Okay. Then after we have SS tutorial modules is there. For what purpose we are using? It is just used to do a high level file operations like copy paste, copy, move, delete, all those operations are there. I will tell you that as well. See, like firstly we have imported the SS tutorials modules, and if here we have imported some operating systems as well. Here I've used remove, that's why I've uses the operating there is a need to import the operating systems as well. So here I've just imported both modules, fine. Here what I have mentioned, I have basically created three variables: source, copy destination, and move destination, fine. And each we have created three like source.txt, copy.txt, move.txt, fine. These three files are there. In first cases, I'm going to open those source file. It means source.txt in write mode. So whenever we are opening something in rat mode, if the file is not there, it is going to create those new files. Fine. So in first cases, as we don't have any source.txt file, it is going to create those files here. Fine. So in the first case, it's going to write that hello, this is a SSUtil example. It's going to create a file. It means here one file is going to be created source.txt. Fine. In the second case, like I will try to explain one by one. Just comment this one. So I'm going to run those part here firstly. Just see one source file has been created and inside it it's been printed like hello, this is a SSUtil file. Fine. Now what I want to okay, I want to copy those. Fine. What I want to copy those source to this destination copy.txt. It means from source, like from source.txt, whatever the content is there, I want to just copy it to copy.txt. I'm just going to use it. Just file copied, and it means source.txt. All those content has been copied to the copy.txt. Same content is there now. Okay. Now what I just want to comment this one and uncomment this one. Now I'm going to copy the copy destiny. It means this copy.txt content. I want to move the copy.txt content, this one to some other file which is move.txt. It means this file is going to be deleted and the content is going to move to the move.txt file. Let me have to run that query as well. Just run the file move. It means that copy.txt is deleted and it has moved to move.txt. Fine. Now what I want to delete those move.txt. Fine. So that's why I have used here operating systems modules here. It means I am going to remove those move.txt here and just print like file deleted. File deleted, it means it has moved. Fine. So we have what we have done, we have copied, we have moved every operations we have done. That's why with the help of SSUtil command, we can done a high level file operations like copy, move, and delete. Fine. Okay. Now the next is JSON modules. So JSON module is very important. Like it has two, like the first one is like whenever we have to convert the Python dictionary to JSON string, and the second condition like whenever we have to convert the JSON string to Python dictionary. So I will try to explain the first part here. Firstly, first part here. See what happened. See, firstly we have imported the JSON here, JSON modules. Now this is basically a list and dictionary is there. Fine. It means data, this name is there, this key is there, value is there, key is there, value is there, key is there, value is there. Fine. We just want to load it and want to convert it into the JSON here. It means here our Python dictionary is going to be converted into the JSON string. Fine. This is Python dictionary. It is going to convert it into JSON string. Just see the outputs here. This is basically a JSON strings is there. Fine. Now we have just reverse of this case as well. It means in this case, our JSON string is going to be converted into the Python dictionary. These are the strings are there. Fine. A JSON, it is in the form of JSON is there. Now I am going to convert it into the Python dictionary. That's why here I have used loads there. There we have used dumps function. Here I have used load here. Fine. These things you earn. And whenever it's going to convert it into the dictionary, I'm going to get only the skill parts here. Fine. Only a skill mode like value. So it will supposed to give us the result this only Python DevOps. See Python and DevOps. So here what we have done, we have just converted the JSON string this one to the Python dictionary. Dictionary contents are there. So these things has been done. Now we have datetime module as well. Datetime module, it means whenever we have to uh, one second, let me have to drink water here. So datetime module, it means whenever we have to do operations with the date and times, we can use like we can import the date times module and we will do a lot of operations. So in the first case, it is going to print the current date and time. So whenever there is a need to print the current date and time both, in that case, firstly we have to import the date times modules. After that, we have to use the date time. This is the modules there. This is the functions there, and inside that, this is the package there. This is the modules there, and this is basically now functions are there. Fine. The now functions are there. Inside that now function, it is going to print both date and time. If we want to print only the date, we have to use a today function. Fine. If we want some custom date, we have to use here date function here inside that date dot times and have to mention the date here. Fine. If you want to create some custom times, we have to put here times here. Fine. The format of time should be hour, minute, and second. And here the fine hour, minute, and second something. This 14 hour it means 2 p.m. Fine. 30 minutes and 45 seconds. This is custom times are there. Then after if we have some like day one is this one is there, then after day two is there, it means one time is there, two times. If you want to get a difference of both times, we can use the it will print the output difference between these two. Then formatting date, it means if you want the output in a specific format, if I'm going to use here date here, if you see it in UTC format, it just printed something fine. And in place of this, if I want to print in a particular formatted, like it should print like date, month, year, then after hour, minute, and second. Then in formatted format also it will give us the result. So with all those operations, we can use date times modules. Okay, I'm going to run this and show you the outputs here. In the first case is like current date and time. This one is there. It means just printed date and time both. Today's date, custom time, differences, and formatted. Formatted, just observe the formatted date, month, year, hour, minute, second, all are there. Fine. Just date, hour, minute, second, 16 hour 30 and 34 has printed. Right now it's 58 UTC. Fine. So that's how we can use date times modules there. Fine. That's all about the modules portion here. Now move on to the packages. Fine. Packages. What is packages? So packages is nothing, just a collection of modules stored in a directory that contains the init.py file. So if in a directory we have a list of .py files accompanied with this init.py file, then we can consider it as a package. Fine. So we can manually create these packages here. We can manually at times I'm not going to show you those de- demos there because of the shortage of time. But you can try. You have been able to create those packages as well. Firstly, we have to create those like init.py function. Then after AWS function, okay, I will show you. No worries, I will show you the demo. So what I'm going, firstly, I'm going to create a folder here, not here. I'm going to create a folders with the names DevOps tools. Fine. DevOps tools. This is a file now. I'm going to create a folder DevOps tools. Fine. Inside that DevOps tools, inside that DevOps tools, we have to create a file init.py. Fine. And inside this, we have to write something like mark this folder as a package. We can write something. Mark this folder as a package. Fine. We can now we have to let us suppose I'm going to create two more files there. The first file should be aws utils.py. Fine. Utils.py. aws utils.py. And I'm going to create one more files there, which is dockerutils.py. Dockerutils.py. Fine. Inside aws I'm going to create deploy EC2 instance these functions there. We have just created a deploy EC2 function which just take instance name as output and going to print deploy EC2 instance. Inside that Docker, I'm going to create a start container function. Fine. Now what I want, fine. Okay. Now what I want inside that main.py, I'm going to use those DevOps tool. This is packages. Now why this is packages? Because it consists of those .py files and this init function. Fine. Okay. Now I'm going to run this code inside this main function there. Fine. See what I have done. Firstly, I have imported. Firstly, I have used those packages there. DevOps tools are basically packages. This from package name import AWS utils function and Docker utils function. These two functions I have. These two modules I have imported. These two are not functions. These two are modules. This is basically a package. These two are basically modules. Fine. That's why I have mentioned here from DevOps tools, which is a package. I have imported two modules. The first one is AWS utils and the second one is Docker utils. Fine. Now I'm just going to use like AWS utils.deploy EC2 and I want to feed the argument as a web instance one and for Docker Nginx container. I'm going to run those main.py here. So Python 3 main.py just run it. It will give you output like deploy EC2 instance. It means that is how we can create a custom package and we can use it. Fine. So I have showed you demo on this as well. So we have some third-party libraries for Python. We have some third-party libraries for the DevOps as well. Like Boto 3 is there, Paramiko is there, Request is there, and PSUtils is there. Boto 3 it means it's just AWS. Like whenever we have to interact with AWS, like we have to manage EC2 instance, S3 Lambda or S3s or Lambdas, we have to import the Boto 3. fine. But before that, we have to make sure like whether these libraries are installed or not. If not installed, then we should have to install it with the help of pip. Okay, fine. With the help of pip, we can install pip install, then boto3, paramiko, request, and psutils. We can install all four. Fine. Paramiko, it means it is for like whenever there is a need to remotely log into a particular servers. In that case, we should have to import this on Paramiko. Request, it means whenever we have to handle with the request APIs like some Jenkins or GitHub actions, we should have to import request modules there. PS utils, it means whenever we have to deal with some CPU or memory, which or like system monitoring, in those cases we have to import the PS utils there. Here some codes are mentioned there. I'm not going to run those codes there, but just give a keep an eye on this. Here, what we want to do. Firstly, we have imported the Boto3. Boto3 is basically AWS. Like whenever we have to interact with AWS services, we should have to import those Boto3. Fine. So firstly, we have created the Boto3 EC2 client here, imported with Boto3 fine. After that, we have created a EC2 instance here. Once we have been able to create a EC2 instance, we have to create those instance here. These are basically the attributes of EC2 instance, like the image ID, instance type, minimum count, maximum count, and key name. Fine. After that, we just have to like after that we just have to call those functions and just put these ID. So here we are not going to call this functions, we are just going to get the IDs of this one. Fine. That's how we can do Boto3. After that, whenever I have already told you, whenever we have to secretly log into a particular server for SSH, we have to use a paramiko. Firstly, import those paramiko. Then here we are trying to connect to these IP address are mentioned, these username are mentioned are there. It means we are going to connect to these servers there and want to execute some command there. Like here we are executing the uptime commands there. Fine. So firstly, we have to log into a remote server and have to execute those commands. So for this, firstly, we have to import those paramiko libraries. Fine. Then we have request libraries as well. Like whenever here, let us suppose if I want to get a response status code of some GitHub, in that case, firstly, we have to import the request library and then we have to process accordingly. So that's how these third-party libraries are basically being used, especially in context of DevOps. So in this module and packages sections, I have tried to cover that what is modules, like how we are creating a custom modules, what is packages and how we are creating a custom packages, what are the built-in modules are there, fine. What are the third-party modules are there like Paramiko, Boto3, then after this one, request and PH utils, fine. And at last, like how we are importing those modules here. So in this session, I will try to cover these things. So this portion has been covered, modules and packages. Now we have to move to the file handling portion. Fine. Okay. Give me 1 minute. Okay. File handling. In this section, we will have to, yeah, right. I will discuss those how we should have to handle the files in Python here. So file handling, it means file handling basically allows the Python programs to create, read, write, and delete files on your systems. It means whenever we have to create some files, whenever we have to open some files or some we have to do operations with the files, it all basically comes under the file handling portions here. Fine. We have so many modes in the Python are there that we are basically be considering the file handling. We have read modes are there, which is default one. 1 second. Yeah, fine. We have read modes are there, which is the default one. Then after we have write modes are there. Write, like if the file is not there, it is going to create those files. Then we have append modules. Append modes are there. Then we have X modes also there. Like it just create a new files if error exists. Fine. Then after we have read plus mode, it means it is going to read plus write. Then we have binding mode. It means whenever we want to open that particular file or some files in a binding mode, we should have to use B here. So these are basically the modes of the files. So like whenever I will show you each and every one by one, like how we are writing to a file. See, firstly, what I want to do, I want to open the DevOps node.txt file in write mode and want to write those content here. If you observe it clearly here, we don't have these files here. Fine. It means it is going to create those files firstly. So I'm going to execute it. If you observe it, the DevOps nodes.txt has been created and things has been these things has been printed there, stored there. Python makes DevOps automation easy and logging and monitoring are essential, these two. And after that, I have just closed the files with the file.close. Fine. That's why we get the this has been created. Now I am going to read the content from those files. Reading content, it means we should have to open these files in a read mode here. Fine. So what I am trying to do, firstly, I am trying to read those files and want to save it inside the content and want to print it. After that, I want to close those files. Fine. So I want to see. So whenever we want to read it, these are basically the content inside that file. And after that, I just close. That's why we get the output here. Fine. Okay. This is appending. It means appending is always append at the last. Like it's just going to add those lines. So whenever we want to append those lines, it is going to append it. Fine. Just press execute it. If you go and check it, this line has been appended. Always secure your answer. Fine. See, this has been appended. Fine. This is basically a difference between read mode, write mode, and append mode. Fine. These three are basically the mode out there. We have one more option like which is considered as a context manager. It means whenever we are opening a file with keywords here, like using with automatically closes the file even if an error occurs. Fine. Uh, It means whenever we are using with here, we just not have to explicitly mention file that close here. It will automatically close those files here. Fine. So we can use with keywords as well. But in those cases, it will automatically going to close that file. So here what we are doing, firstly we are trying to open the server.txt in write mode as a file and want to write few lines here. Fine. As there is no servers.txt, fine. It means it is going to create a new files and want to store those lines web01, db01, catch01. Fine. And after that, I just want to read it and want to print out. Fine. So I will let you know how these things are basically happening here. Press enter. It means if you observe it, this servers.txt is going to be created and those web01, db01, catch01 is basically going to be stored. Fine. So that's how this is basically working here. Okay. How we are reading it line by line? Same. Whenever there is a need to read line by line, we have to open the file in read mode and we have to use for loop like four lines in F, just print strip. It means it is going to print those all. See, web01, db01, catch01. Okay. We can check the whether file exists or not. This also. Here we have firstly imported the operating system modules and we are just checking whether servers.txt is there or not. Yeah, here servers.txt there. It means it should print yeah file exist. Yeah, file exist. Fine. If you are just omitting those part, just checking file does not exist. It means we don't have any server.txt file. We have servers.txt file. Okay. For log analysis, I have already shown you this example there. It means if we have some system.log file, we have just opened this in a read mode, and initially I have just in a slash error count as 0. Fine. And after that, I just have used the for loop here, 4 lines in this log. If error occur, it is going to increase the error count every time. Fine. We don't have any system log. I'm going to create one system logs file there. Okay, no worries. I'm going to create, sorry, here. Fine. Going to create one system.log. Fine. Inside that system.log, I'm going to create error, error, errors. It means I've printed 3 errors. Fine. Now I am going to try it. How many counts we are getting from here? Okay. See, total error founds are 3. It means we have just firstly opened system.log in read mode, and we are just checking how many error counts are there. And every times the error count is going to increase by 1. That's why total count we have get 3 here. Okay. Now handling with JSON file here. See, firstly I'm going to write something JSON data, then I will get you how we are reading this. Whenever we have to deal with some JSON, firstly you have to import the JSON module. Fine. So firstly I have this is basically a dictionary is configured there. Fine. And I want to open this config.json. I want to firstly create a like open config.json in write mode, and I want to like I have just mentioned here indentation 4. Fine. I just take input at config config file. Fine. And this one is there, and indentation should be 4. Fine. It means I will firstly show you, then I will explain how these things are basically happening. If you clearly observe it, we get a config.json. Here see, here JSON file has been created. And here indentation it means it just printed the key value pairs after the 4 species. Fine. That's why indentation 4 is mentioned. In place of this, if we are mentioning 2, indentation should be 2 also. Fine. So this is how we can basically be writing the JSON data. Here configuration has been written. Fine. Now what I want to read those JSON data here. For reading those JSON data, see. Firstly, we have imported those JSON. Fine. Now I am going to open.config.json in read mode, and I want to load it and store it in data. Fine. And after that I want to get only the app name and server name. Just see how we have been able to read those JSON data from here. It means app name, it means web app has been printed, and servers these are in between. It means here JSON data is basically we are basically trying to read those JSON data here. Fine. Okay. Now how we are handling with the YAML file. So one thing that you have to make sure, like if the YAML is like if the PyYAML is not installed, firstly you have to make sure like you should have to install it with the pip install PyYAML. Fine. Then we have to try with it. So I'm going to use where is main.py is there. This is there. I'm going to use this one. So in first cases, this dictionary, in first cases, I'm trying to create the YAML file, and then after I'm trying to read those YAML file. Here I'm trying to create those YAML file. That's why I've opened this file in a write mode. As we don't have deploy.yaml, it means it is going to create those YAML file. Fine. After that, once the file has been created, then we can read those files here. We can get only the app data there. Fine. I will let you know. Firstly, I have to run this one. App Nginx. If you clearly observe, deployment.yaml has been created. This is basically YAML format and this is basically a JSON format. You can clearly see the difference between YAML and JSON format. JSON format, it means it should be inside that curly braces and it should be in the value of key and value pairs. But in case of YAML, there is no curly braces. Indentations are there. Fine. So this is YAML format and this is JSON format. So what we are doing, we have created the YAML format. Now we have been able to get this is YAML. App is Nginx, environment is staging and prod, and replicas are 3. Fine. Now in the main function, what I am trying to fetch, we are trying to fetch only the app details. That's why I printed here Nginx only. Fine. If we are mentioning here environment, it should supposed to print the staging and production here. That's how you have to deal with the YAML files there. Likewise, you can do a log rotations as well, but for log rotation, there should must be a log files. But I don't have any logs file there, but system.logs are there. Okay, I will mention that only. No worries, I will see. Log rotation, it means what I want. I want to rotate those all logs and want to just want to save it with a .bak extension with a date time stamp. Fine. I will show you. You can try it from your side because of the time constant. I'm not going to go deeper much it because already the video is going to be too larger here and it's already 10 p.m. So I'm going to run this Python file there. Fine. Just run it. It means just if you clearly we have only logs files now. We have only systems.log were there. So it just moved to this and here this log file has been created. Fine. So that's how you can automatically rotate the logs. I'm not going to explain much deeper, just go through it. These are simple. Firstly, we have imported the SS utils. Then after we have imported the date times here. So what we have done, we have done firstly we have formatted this timestamp and we have just created a new files by the name like log files names are there and in which we have added the timestamp and .bak extension. Fine. And after that we have just moved it with the new names there. Fine. So that's how we can do for the log rotations. This is basically like whenever there's a long log files are there and if you want to read it line by line or something, we can use this as well. Like I will show you the demo as well. This is there, just remove this part from here. I'm going to open this access.log in read mode and want to check whether any 500 is there. If it been able to get those 500, it just print server error found like this. We don't have any access.log, so I'm going to create one file there, access.log, and I'm going to print inside some the errors is there, DevOps is there, and after that 500 is there. Fine. Now I'm going to main.py and going to run this script there. Yeah, error record. It means 500 is there inside that access.log. That's why we have got the error. Fine. Now, how we have to work with the CSV file? This is the last sections of this file ending there. CSV file, it means comma separated value files. So firstly, we have to import the CSV here. Fine. And now what we have done after that, firstly, I have like want to open those like servers.csv in read mode, in write mode. Fine. And I want to write firstly these line, then after these line. Fine. So as we don't have any servers.csv files, so it is going to create those files and going to save these two lines there. In first line, it is supposed to print this server IP and status, and in the second line, it is supposed to print this. I will show you how. See, if you see the servers.csv file is been here, and in the first line servers IP status and this one. Fine. So that's how you have to deal with the CSV files here. We can read the content from CSV file as well. For reading the content from CSV file, you just have to import CSV file and have to open it in read mode and have to use your for looping. For every times like for reading content from a CSV or some other file, we have to use a for loop so that it will iterate through the number of lines there. In the first line, server's IP and status is mentioned. In the second line, these things are mentioned here. Exception handling are fine, but this portion I will try to cover in next section because next section is basically exception handling. So I will try to cover in that portion. By the way, I will let you know like we have used try and except block. So if the file is missing, it is going to print like file not found. See, file not found because we don't have missing.txt here. Fine. So in this section, like in this section, I will try to cover the file modes like read, write, append. Fine. Then after I will try to explain the with open or with open functions as well. So whenever we are using with open, it means we just not have to explicitly close the file. It will automatically close the file. Fine. Then after I'll explain the how we have to handle the JSON file, how we have to handle the YAML file. And at that last, I have also told you how you have to log the rotations. Fine. And exception handling. Exception handling, I will try in next slide. So this basically is exception handling. So moving to the seventh one, which is exception handling. So by the way, exception handling, I have already told you. So you can go to this is basically my YouTube channel, see there. So you can go to there. This is basically exception handling portion is there. Fine. So you can refer to this. And apart from exception handling, I have uploaded videos regarding AWS as well from Linux in one shot, set commands and awk command I have explained. Then after grep commands, find commands, shell scripting also I have mentioned. And apart from this, I have also tried to explain the SQL in one shot. Like in this, I have explained the SQL from scratch. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please feel free to subscribe it. So just come to the topics there. This one, file handling. So another question, the first question that arises is why there is a need to have file handling. Fine. File handling, it means 1 second. Yeah, sorry, file handling, sorry, exception handling. Why there is a need to read this exception handling? So exception is basically an error occurs that during the execution of programs, disrupting the normal flow. Fine. Like if I am going to print this output here, I will show you. This is main.txt. So if I am going to print this, fine, it will throw an error. Why it throw an error? Because we want to divide 10 by 0, fine. So if we don't handle the exceptions carefully, our programs stops at that points. It means a starting script has been printed here. Just see starting script has been printed. But our programs stops at that point. It won't print the script completed here. Fine. That's why to handle the exceptions, we have to carefully mention those here. That's why we are studying this exception handling here. So after exception handling, if it throws an error, our programs is not going to be disturbed. It will complete the execution. Fine. I will let you know how you have to do. This is basically a proper syntax like for the try and except block. Try is there, then we have to code that might cause the error, and after that we have to put conditions like acceptance type are there. Fine. This I will show you a demo on this one. This is basically examples there. Examples there. Fine. It means here what I have done. In try block, I have taken the input from the users and I have just converted it into the int. And what if the user is trying to put input apart from zero, it will give us the output fine. But if I have mentioned two in the except block, the first one is zero division error and the second one is value error. Fine. Zero division error, it means whenever user is trying to put zero, it should supposed to print on the terminal you cannot divide by zero. Fine. But apart from zero, if something, let us suppose if the user has entered the some at the rate symbol or something hash symbol, it is invalid numbers now. That's why in those cases it should supposed to print please enter valid number. I will show you how this is basically working. I'm going to run this code here. In first case, I'm trying to print 5 there. It means we have got the output 2.0. This is fine. Fine. In the second case, I'm trying to put something 0 here. It just print you cannot divide by 0. Second condition, this one is there. Fine. In the third case, I'm trying to put something like at the rate is there. Fine. It means it just printed please enter valid number. Fine. That's how we have been carefully handle the exceptions here. Fine. It means here our program runs smoothly. So that's what is basically exception handling is there. Fine. Now we have two more blocks are there. This is basically a try and except block are there. Apart from this, we have two more blocks are there. Finally and else. Fine. I will show you demo on that as well. Try and else and finally. Fine. It means I will show you. Firstly, like whenever the servers.txt is going to be opened in read mode, it just check whether this servers.txt is there. If that we, it should just close those files successfully and and print that closing script fine. But if the file is not there, it is supposed to print on the terminals like file not found. Else block is going to be executed after that once there is like it doesn't throw any error like and finally block is going to be executed every times there. I will show you there. 1 second. One thing that you have to get in mind, out of these two blocks, else block is there and finally block is there. Else block, it means it only executes whenever there is no exceptions. Fine. And finally block is going to execute always. Even if an exception occur, it is going to be executed. Fine. So these things you have to keep in your mind. Just run. It means, yeah, file opened successfully, closing file. It means we have servers.txt. We have servers.txt files are there. I'm going to delete this one. Now I am trying. File not found, it means just closing the script. It means here the exception has occurred. That's why the else block has not been like else block has not executed. Fine. Just observe these two outputs here. In the first case, uh, it doesn't have any exception. That's why the else block has been executed. But in the second case, as there is exception, that's why else block has not executed. Only the finally block is executed. And I have already told you finally block is going to be executed every times. Fine. Okay. One second, give me 2 minutes. So this else and imply block has been completed. Fine. Now moving to the next one. Next one is common Python exceptions. Fine. Like what are the Python exceptions are there? So in the previous sections, only few has been covered, like zero division error, value errors, but apart file not found error, three has been covered here. But apart from this, there are some more Python exceptions are there. Like first one is file not found error. It means whenever file had not, like if the file has not found, it will throw error this error. Fine. One second. So the file not found is exception. It means whenever file is not found, it will throw a file not found error. Fine. The second one is zero division error. It means whenever we are trying to divide some numbers by zero, it will print like it will throw a zero division error. Fine. Value error. It means whenever we are feeding some wrong data types or wrong values. Key errors. It means if in the dictionary if there is a missing keys are there, then in that case it will throw a key errors. Index error. It means if the invalid list index has been there, it will throw an index like index error. Tabs error, it means if we are operating like if we are doing some wrong operations like operations on the wrong time, it will throw a types error. Then I have to import error. It means if you are imported the wrong modules or modules not found something, import error. Then timeout error, it means if the operations timeout, and permission, it means insufficient permissions are there. In that case we are getting permissions. So these all are the Python exceptions are there. Fine. Now, let me have DevOps examples are there. I will show you on the terminal here. Uh, this one I'm going to execute this one. Like what I will do, I'll open this in read mode and I want to check whether the file is there or not. It means file not found. Please verify the path. It means file is not there. That's why it just print file not found here. Now, yeah, whenever we have to like if we have to do operations with the AWS, I have already told you we have to import both the three modules here. Fine. In the same way, like we have this codes are there. Fine, fine. So if you have been able to like what we did, firstly we have imported the both the three modules. Then after we have imported the Boto core exceptions. From the Boto core exceptions, we have just imported no credentials error and client error. These two. Fine. These two are basically the modules are there that we have imported from these packages. Boto core dot exceptions packages are there. Fine. So in try block, what we did, firstly we have created the client S3 client. Then after we just call the list bucket function here. Fine. And it should print like connected to Amazon AWS S3 bucket. And if it has not credential, then it will throw error like errors credentials are not found. But if there is any client errors, then it will throw like client errors like this. So let me have to run this and have to check what it showed. So just wait, connected to AWS S3. It means we have been able to connect to Amazon S3. Fine. Okay. This basically regarding the Boto 3 modules. Then we have one like request modules as well. In case of request modules, I will let you know try with this request module. It means whenever we have to handle with some APIs, here we are just checking the status code like status code of Jenkins. Fine. Could not connect to Jenkins. Connection attempt is finished. So we are not able to connect to Jenkins. That's why it threw basically error like could not connect to Jenkins. But if you are not handling these exceptions carefully, then it will throw error like it will our code will stop at it at this point. This block of code is not going to be executed. Fine. That's why there is need to be handle the exceptions very carefully. Then we have sub-process modules examples as well. I will let you know this as well. Sub-process modules. This one is the sub process. It means whenever there is a need to execute those shell commands there. So just execute command failed. It means this command is not going to be executed. That's why our command fails here. It just printed command failed and the errors whatever we have got error like return non-zero exit code status 2. Now, now there is one more concept like how we have to raise the custom exception. So if there is need to raise the custom exception, in that case we are basically using the raise keywords here. Fine. I will let you know like how we have to raise those exceptions from here. So the raise keywords here. So firstly, you have to import the Boto3, then we have to from the package Boto core dot exceptions, we have to import client errors. Fine. Then after firstly, you have to create the S3 client here. Now in the try block, we just have to mention like S3 upload this file, this bucket name, and then with this bucket name, it is going to be stored. Fine. Client error, if it encountered a client error, then it will check the status code there. If the error code is basically no such bucket, it should print this. Like it will raise exceptions. Like the target S3 bucket does not exist. Check bucket name origin. Fine. Otherwise, if the error code is basically access denied, it should print like it basically going to raise this permission error. Fine. So just observe the status code here. In the first case where the status code is no such bucket, it just raise this exception this one and it just print this one. Fine. And if access denied, it will raise some permission error. So this is how we are manually raising the exceptions throughout the course of throughout the course of programs here. Fine. So I will try to execute run that script here. See, it will raise the exceptions here from here. It just printed like file not found here. Data.txt, that's why okay. File not found is there. That's why what I am trying to do. I'm not going to trying to upload this one because we already have, I have not just observe this like this is the way through which we can raise the exceptions here. Fine. Like my free trial account has been expired, that's why I'm not going to upload those photos here. I have not even configured it, so it's fine. Like just see the syntax and observe it like how we are basically trying to raise the exceptions here. Now, this is the way through which we can create a custom exceptions as well. I will show you that as well. In that sections, I have tried to cover those portions. So if you find any difficulty, especially in this exception handle, try to refer those videos, whichever I have told you. So how we are basically creating a custom exceptions here. So let us for here this is class deployment error class are there inside we are just mentioning like custom exception and we have we have one method deploy we have one deploy function is there which takes basically parameter version as a parameter. It just check if the version is less than 1.0 it is going to raise deployment error this exceptions fine and it should print like invalid version. So like in the try block, what we are doing, we are basically trying to call those deploy function here and want to put 0.8 as as an argument. Fine. And if the it will throw error, it should print like custom exceptions. So let me have to check like what should be the output here. So custom exception deployment absorbed. Fine. So that's what it's printed here. The next one is like retrying fails operation. This is very common. I will let you know this as well. Like what we did, firstly we have imported the time modules here for I in the range 0, 1 to 3. Fine. What we did, we are trying to attempt it to a particular server. So if you like we are trying to connect to the particular servers, and it will raise a connection error. Fine. And like if there is a connection error, it will just print like connection failed and retrying, and it's just going to loop inside it. Like in first case, it will start from zero. Fine. And here I've used sleep function here. It means it will stop for 2 seconds here. Fine. And in the else block, it is going to print like connection successfully, and it will break the. So let me have to check from here. I'm trying to execute it. Connecting to the servers, connection failed retrying first time, retrying second time, and retrying third time, and all retries fail. Just observe. Firstly, this statement has printed. After this, the loop start from I is equal to 0 to I is equal to 2. Fine. And it just printed like connection failed this time. And at last, like as we have got as it got basically, it basically threw in it. That's why it just break from here, or an else block is basically be executed here. Fine. So that's how this is basically working here. So this is basically a case of retrying field. Like if the retrying has failed, in that case, how we are basically handling, and this is basically common in like we are currently using it in DevOps here. That's why you should have to like practice questions, or you should have to practice questions based upon this. Then we have logging exceptions also. Instead of printing, we should have to log it. I will tell you that as well. So firstly, for logging, we have to import the logging modules here, and in that we just want to like if in the try block what we have mentioned, we are dividing the 10 by 0, and if the exception occur, we just want to log those errors to the errors.log file. Fine. I'm going to run this. Just see. If you observe it, the errors.log file has been created here. Fine. And the errors has been like stored there. So that's how we can store like whenever any error has occurred, we just want to save it inside a file and want to save to some log files as well. Fine. So that's how this logging occurs. So roughly I have tried to cover all those concepts in this exception handling here. So I have tried to cover the try and except block, then after else block, then after finally block is going to be executed every time. Then how we want to manually trigger the exceptions with the raise keywords here, how we how we are creating the custom exceptions, fine, how we are retrying it, and how, and if we are encountering any errors, then how we are saving those errors inside a file. So this is basically all covered inside the exception handling here. So this also portion done exception handling. So now I will try to explain the object-oriented programming like OOPS concept here. But before that, just give me 2 minutes here. So now proceed with this OOPS concept. So let me have to go to here, OOPS 1. Now the first thing that we will study what is OOPS here. Fine. So what is OOPS? OOPS is just a programming. 1 second. Okay, yeah. What is OOPS? OOPS is basically a programming paradigm that basically organizes codes into the object. Fine. And it is that entity that is basically going to be combined both like datas as well as the behaviors. Data, it means they are talking about the attributes. Behavior, it means they are talking about the methods. Fine. It means inside it, both should be there, like data and methods, both should be there. So in the OOPS concept, we will basically be studying about the class concept, or what is object, what is class, what is encapsulation, what is inheritance, what is polymorphism, and what is abstraction. Fine. So roughly, I will give you idea. Class, it means class just a blueprint for creating the object. So whenever we are creating a class, so it's just a blueprint for creating an object. And those like object is basically the instance of the class is there. So whenever we have created a class, after that we have to create the object of the class through which we will call those like use those try to access those methods and variables from the class. Fine. After that, encapsulation is there. For what purpose? Like what is encapsulation is? Encapsulation is basically be used to hiding the internal details. Like some private variables are there and methods are there. Fine. So whenever there's a need to hide the internal details, in those cases we were basically using the encapsulation. Fine. Inheritance, it means whenever we have to reuse the code from another class, in that case we are basically using the inheritance. It means whenever one class basically inherit the property of the other class, in that case we are basically using the inheritance. Fine. Polymorphism, it means using the same method differently. Fine. It means the function is going to be same. Like overriding methods, we are basically considering inside a polymorphism characteristics. Fine. Abstraction, it means whenever we are hiding complexity from the users, we should make that class a abstract class. I will give you example of all this. Firstly, I will going to show you to how we are going to create those class and how we are creating the object from those class. So here what we are doing, we have basically created a class server class and inside one init function is there. Fine. And start this methods is there. Fine. So this init basically takes this init function is basically a constructor is there. It basically takes name and IP as an parameters. That's why it mentioned like self.name is equal to name and self.ip is equal to IP, and it has a method start which is going to print those like server this started at this AP. Fine. It will take these two IPs. So whenever we are creating an object like web servers, here we have created the object web servers and we have just passed the argument web server 1 and this IP addresses. Fine. So here web server 1 is basically the object and server is basically the class. Fine. And we are just going to start those servers. So I will show you how the output would be look like. So whenever we are executing that file, it will show the output like server web 01 started at this IP address. Fine. So this is basically a class object is there. So that's how this object and like class and object has been created. Fine. This init method is basically a constructor. So this init basically method initializes the object attributes automatically when the object is created. So what this method does, so whenever we are creating any object now, whenever we are creating any object, this this method is going to be initialized automatically. Fine. It means whenever we are uh, creating the object of this DevOps engineer classes, it's going to be invoked automatically. That's what the function of init method is. Fine. So I will show you these examples as well. The same thing is there. The pandas are same. Like here the class name is DevOps engineer and it has a init constructor which takes the parameters like name and project name, and it has a method display which is going to print the engineers and the project here. Fine. So whenever we have created an object like engineer first, it will going to print the output like this. I'm going to run this one just so engineer Dheeraj and project AWS automation. Fine. So this is how the class and object has been used here. Fine. So that's all about the init methods. And now move on to the encapsulation. Encapsulation, it means we are just hiding the internal data here in case of encapsulation. Fine. So I will show you that demo as well, encapsulation. So if you clearly observe it, we have a class Jenkins pipeline. Fine. Inside Jenkins pipeline, we have an init constructor and whatever the function which start with underscore, like this is underscore is there. So whatever the function that start with this, it is we should always consider it as a private methods. So if the name of any functions start with a double underscore, it means that method is basically be private. Fine. That's why what we did. Firstly, inside that Jenkins pipeline, we have basically three methods. The first one is init method, which is a constructor, and it will automatically invoke whenever we are creating the object. Here, pipeline object we have created, fine. And we have some build, we have one build method as well, but this is private method. It means it can be accessed within that class only, fine. And we have one more method, trigger pipeline. So what we are doing, we are basically trying to call those build functions from this trigger pipeline method, fine. That's why I have told you this is a private method. That's why it has been called from here. So that's how this private method and private variables has been used here. So whatever the variable that has been uh, like declared at this init constructor, it is always be private. Fine. That's how these private variables and private methods are being used here. I will show you the output of this terminal as well, like how the triggering pipeline and deploying deploy building deploy. Fine. So that's how this private and private variables and methods has been work here. So here what we are doing, we are just encapsulating. It means here private methods are used now. It means we are just adding those internal data here. If there is need, it means we can access, yeah, or we can call those functions from the public method which is inside that class only. So by the help of this, we can add those internal data there. So use cases are being mentioned as well, like keep internal operations private, like secrets, credential, or internal build steps like this. Fine. So this all about the encapsulation. The next one is inheritance. Inheritance, it means whenever one class is basically going to inherit the properties of another class, right? We have so many inheritance, the multi-level inheritance, multiple inheritance, but I am not going to much go deeper inside it because they are theoretically parts. But as far as the things which are important as in context of dev, I am basically trying to explain those part only here. So what we have done, we have basically firstly, yeah, the first one, like firstly we have created one class here, server, fine. Inside servers, we have one init constructor is there, then after start methods are there. And one more class we have created like web server, and it just inherit the property of the parent class here, fine. And it has the methods deploy. What we are trying to do, we are this is child, this is parent, fine. What we are trying to do, we are trying to create an object for this web server here, fine. So whenever we are creating object, this will automatically invoke, fine. And we are just passing nginx server from the web servers here, and we are just trying to call the start and deploy here, start and deploy. So it should support to print both on the terminals. I will tell you, see this starting servers Nginx and deploying swaps on this. It means it has this functions has been called and this also. Why? Because this web server class has inherited the property of server class. That's why we have been able to access these functions as well. Fine. So that's how this inheritance is basically be working. So next one is polymorphism. What is polymorphism? It means one interface and many form. If you observe it, I will show you it here. If you observe it, so we have basically three classes are there. One is server, second is web server, third is database server. Fine. And this web server and database server, these two are basically inherit the server. Fine. And if you clearly observe, all these three classes have the same methods name restart, but the output it is going to print is basically different. Fine. So this is the basically a case of polymorphism. Is it means we have a one interface. It means one methods are there, but it will behave differently, although the function name of like although the function name of all those function inside that class is same, but they behave differently. It means it is supposed to print the restarting generic server, the second one is supposed to print the restarting nginx web server, and the third one is supposed to print the restarting mysql database server. It means it just to behave differently, fine. And here we just use for loop and just trying to iterate through these two classes and want to invoke the restart function here. So I'm going to print it on terminal as well. Enter. restarting Nginx and restarting MySQL database servers. So that's how this polymorphism is working. Now the last one we have the abstraction. Abstraction, fine. How? What is abstraction? It means abstraction. It means it just hiding the implementation detail. This one, this class we have made. I will tell you the if you observe it for abstraction. What we have done? Firstly, we have imported the package ABC, and in the from those packages we have imported ABC modules and abstract method modules. These two modules we have uh, imported. After imported, firstly we have created an abstract class here, cloud provider, which takes ABC as an input as a parameter. And I have just mentioned at the rate abstract method. It means this is basically abstract method is there. Fine. That's why we just mentioned here pass here create instance pass. And concrete class we have basically created two concrete class here. First one is AWS, which is going to take like which is going to inherit or take inherit the cloud providers and Azure also. And inside also the like create instance is there and create instance is there. One thing is there like whenever we are creating the object for this AWS class, it will run smoothly fine. But whenever we are going to create the object for this cloud provider, it will throw error. Why? Because it's an abstract class. Fine. That's what error you will get here. So firstly, I'm going to execute it, launching EC2 instance AWS. It means it has been executed successfully in the same manner. I can show you with the Azure as well. Just mention here Azure. Fine. And here just mention Azure. Here just mention Azure. Fine. Just run this one. It means launching VM manager. Both are run fine. But whenever I'm going to create the object for abstract class, it will throw an error here. Fine. I will show you. Just see. It's throw an error. Why? Can't initiate abstract class cloud provider without the implementation for abstract method. As this is the abstract class, that's why we can't create the object from it. Fine. So that's all about the abstract class is there. That's all about the abstraction. Fine. So that's all about this. Then we have one compositions as a composition. It means whenever we are combining the multiple classes, one class we have logger class, one class we have deployment classes there. Fine. Inside that lower class, we have log methods are there. Inside deployment, we have init constructor, then deploy constructor there. So whenever we are creating a object for the deploy and one object for the deployment and want to call this deployment, I will show you like how the output would be look like. Then you will get clarity here. She. See, deploying flask app, it means it is going to print this one. Fine. Here, what we are doing here, we are basically just combining the both. 1 second. Here we are basically combining the both classes here, logger as well as deployment. Fine. Why? So if you like, if you see inside that deployment and we have just called this logger class here. We have just mentioned logger.log deploying this. It means whenever we are trying to create an object for deployment, it's just going to invoke those functions here, log methods there or log functions there. Fine. and it will shows the output like that's why it's printed here log deploying class application. Fine. It means what we have done here, we have just combined the both classes here. So it's just the example of combination is there. Combination. Fine. Likewise, we have some class variable or instance variables as well. I will show you that as well, like what is the class variables and what is the instance variables. See, we have created one class server here. Inside it, we have just mentioned AP shots one in as a reason. Fine. Inside one constructor is there, which takes basically name as the input. Fine. And it just an instance variable says that this is the class variable. Why class variable? Because it has been declared outside the class. It has been declared inside the class. But here instance variable, it means it is going to be defined within the function. Fine. So whenever we are creating the object or like whenever we are creating the object of the class and want to pass the argument, it is supposed to print those output there. So in the first session, like in the first output, what I want, I have just put server1 dot reason and server2 dot reason. Fine. It means server1 dot reason. I will let you know like how these things will happen. See, whenever we are passing wave server one, fine, wave server one as a argument, and it is going to like we have just created the server one as an object for this class server one, fine. And in the output, what I want to print, I just want to print server one dot reason. That's why it just printed EP shortcut, fine. In this second also, what we have what we have pass as an argument. We have just passed as an argument DB server one, and object is basically server two. The server two dot reason EP short one. It means for both the cases, we have just get the EP short one as a uh, reason. Why? Because it's a class method. Fine. Now, in the second case, names are different. Fine. In the first case, web servers are there, and in the second case, DB servers are there. That's why it's printed separately here. Fine. But here the regions are same. Why? Because it's a class variable. It's not a method variable. Fine. So that's how this difference between the class variables and instance variables is. So, and the last one is basically a magic methods. Magic methods are very essential. I will let you know like how you have to magic methods. See how this magic methods is basically working. We have created one class server. Fine. Inside it, we have a constructor in it, which is basically taking names and services as a parameter. Fine. And these two are basically the instance private instance variables. Fine. Now, to represent a string, we have to use here this method. This is a magic method. It means a string method. Fine. It will print the strings here. And firstly, I will show you that. So whenever we are creating the object of the server class and have like pass Nginx server as a name and these services as an argument. So whenever we are trying to print those objects, it explicitly trying to call those string function here. Fine. And whenever we are trying to get the length of those string, it will trying to call those length function there. That's why these two string and length, these two are basically the magic methods are there. Why magic? Because whenever we are trying to print the object, it is going to call those string methods. And whenever we are trying to get the length of that object, it's basically going to call those length function there. Fine. So this length and string are both magic methods are there. So that's how this magic methods has been used here. So in this session, like OOPS concepts, I have tried to cover the class and object, encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, abstractions, compositions, and magic methods. Fine. So that's all about the OOPS part here. So I have covered this oops part as well. Only the last portion is coming has left, which is advanced topic. So in this session, I will try, or in this topic, sorry, I will try to cover iterator, generator, and decorators. Then after the regular expressions with the RE modules, multi-threading, multi-processing, command line argument with argparse, working with environment variables, time and scheduling automation. So these things I will try to discuss. So I have to go to their Python, and this is the last topic that I am discussing today. So these are basically advanced topics, and I have like I have just tried to explain these things as well here. So what is iterator? So and just read those like iterator definition here. So an iterator is an object that allow you to traverse, it means loop through all the elements of a collections like list, tuples, and strings, one element at a time using iter functions or the next function. Fine. It means with the help of iter and next function, we can iterate through each element one at a time. That's what the iterator is. Fine. It means let us suppose here we have created a list. It means iterable 10, 20, 30. Fine. I want to convert this list into iterator. What we have to do? Firstly, we have to use the iter function here. So with the help of iter function, we can convert those lists into the iterator. Fine. And we will save it inside IT variables. Now, what I want to print those IT from one by one. So in first case, with the help of next function, whenever we are trying to print it, it will print first output, then after second output, then after third output. Likewise, we have been able likewise, we are basically trying to traverse through the loop list. Fine. That's why it basically be a iterator. I will show you on terminal as well. See. So whenever we have used first like print next IT, it just printed the first element, then after second element, then after third element, then after fourth element like this. It means we just want to iterate through the element of list. So that's what this iterator is. Fine. The next one is generator. What is generator? So a generator is a special function that yield one value at a time using a yield keyword. Fine. Instead of a return keyword. It means instead of return keyword, we are basically using here yield keyword. It basically saves memory as compared to returning log leaks. So in place of return, what we are basically using? We are basically using yield keywords here. Fine. I will show you that as well. This is basically a case of generator here is. So we have firstly created a function get server, and inside that function we have just used the for loop for I in the range 1 to 4. It means it will goes from 1 to 3. Fine. It should return like it should yield in place of return. We are just using here yield. It should yield server and the name of those value here. And here we have just mentioned like I want to print those value. That's why we used for loop for s in get server list print s. So likewise, this generator is basically be used here. Here the yield is basically used in place of return. Fine. So this is basically a generator here is. What is decorator? Decorator is nothing just a function that adds functionality to the another function without modifying its structure. What it does, it's not going to change it's not going to change those functions. It's just going to add some additional functionality to the another function without modifying it. Fine. That's why it's been often be used in logging, authentication, and timing here. You can think of decorators as a wrapper around the function that can add extra functionality. So in this, if you clearly observe this code here, what we are doing here, we are basically creating one logger function here. Fine. Inside that logger function, we have a wrapper function. Fine. The wrapper function basically takes two parameters. One is like argument for position, multiple argument for positional for multiple positional argument, and second for multiple keywords argument. Fine. It's just going to print running this function name, and whenever like, and after that it will going to call those function here with those. Fine. And after that it just print completed here, and it will return those return value, and this wrapper function is going to return wrapper value as well. So whenever we are after that, we have just mentioned one deployment function or deploy app function. It's just going to print deploy application. So whenever we are just going to call it like deploy app, this call is firstly it will going to print those lines here. After that deploying, then at last completed. I will show you how this is basically be working there. So just see, I am going to run this clear, fine. Now run this. It means firstly this running function is this is printed, fine. Function name. It just take function name as deploy app, fine. After that, it just take like deploying application this one, and at last this completely has printed here, fine. Just observe how this things has been worked here. So this is all about like decorator is there. Context manager, it means it has been already discussed like whenever we are opening some files in that mode, then a context manager is basically we used to manage resources automatically like opening, closing of files or connections. It uses with the with statement. I have already mentioned in file handling here. Regular expression, it means for regular expression or regex are the pattern that used to search, match, and manipulate text. Like whenever there's a need to search, match, or manipulate text inside a file, we are basically using RE modules there. Fine. So examples are there like if you want to find some emails in the text, then we have to use these codes here. I will show you like how we want to find the emails. This is the codes there, and I'm going to just show you here like what we did. Firstly, we have just imported the RE modules here. After that, this is basically a text code there which comprises of the emails. Fine. Here we have just used match like RE modules dot search. We are going to search. What we are going to search? We are going to search email pattern. So for email, we are just mentioning like W is for all like words are there. Fine. Then after we have just added at the rate and then W for all those words there. So with this pattern, it is going to search inside that text and it will if it has been able to find those emails, then it will print there. So I will show you the output like this. See email found this. Fine. Likewise, we can find like we can extract some IP address as well with this RE modules. Fine. This is basically let us suppose this is the logs files. Inside this IP addresses are there. So we are just using here find all function there. With the help of find all, we can calculate those like IP addresses. For IP addresses, we have to mention like this. This is basically the concept like to get the IP addresses there. And after that, we have to put those files names there. And at last, it will just print like IP and this. I'm going to print on this terminal. Why it's throwing error? Okay, we have to import RE as well. Import RE. Fine. Now it should work fine. Fine. IP address is this. Fine. So whenever we have to search something like search some words like some search pattern, we should good to use this RE modules. Fine. Then after two more concepts are there, multi-threading and multiprocessing. Multi-threading it means Running multiple thread, it means a smaller units of process concurrently to perform different tasks at the same time. Concurrently, it means each thread basically runs in the same process memory, sharing variables and resources. It means all those threads are going to be run concurrently at the same time. Here, I will show you it on output, like how these things can basically be used, like how it's working here. See what I have done. Firstly, we have imported the both threading and times module. Fine. After that, we have just created two methods there. The first one is print numbers and the second one is print letter. With the help of print number, I have just used a for loop here. I have just used I in the range 1 to 5. It means it will start from 1, 2, 3, 4 and we will go till 5. And it is going to print the numbers. Fine. And it will like print numbers by the after 1 second. That's why I just use time.sleep one. Fine. Letters also, I have just used a for loop and I have just iterated from A to E. Fine. And it is going to print those letters. Fine. This is basically, these two are basically the functions there, like methods are there. After that, we have just creating a thread. It means just like object, we are creating a thread T1 and T2. T1, for T1, it is going to print the number. For T2, it is going to print the letters. Fine. After that, we have just started this T1 dot thread and T1 dot start and T2 dot start. Fine. And then we are just waiting for both to finish. That's why we should have to use join functions here. And at last, we just printed like both threads completed. I will show you how this multi-threading is basically working here. It means both will run at the same time. It will save our memory here. If you clearly observe, if you clearly observe, the first one is number, then after letters, number, letters, number, letters, number, letters. It means both is basically be executed same times. It means with the help of this, we can save the memory. Fine. And at last, whenever both executed successfully, our execution complete, then it's going to print the both threads completed. Fine. That's how this multi-threading is basically working here. Here, both functions run concurrently, so the total execution time is much shorter than the running them sequentially. So whenever we are running it sequentially, it will take a much longer time. But with the help of this function like multi-threading, we will save the times here. Fine. That's what DevOps cases has been mentioned, like whenever there's a need to run the parallel backups or deploy to multiple server at once, we are good to use this multi-threading here. Just like same multiprocessing is also there. In multiprocessing, it means multiprocessing means running multiple processes. Here we are basically running the multiple threads, but in this case we are running the multiple processes simultaneously, where each process has their own Python interpreter and memory spaces. So unlike multi-threading, multiprocessing bypasses the global interpreter lock, which is a GIL, and allowing the true parallel execution on multiple CPU code. In this case also, there is a parallel execution. Fine. It means all those processes are basically we going to run in parallelly. Fine. I will show you that output as well. See. In the same way, we have to import multiprocessing and time here. Here also we have two methods. The first one is square number and the second one is cube number. It means with the help of a square number, we are calculating the square of the numbers. Here I will use range like 1 to 6 here. Fine. It is going to calculate the square. And here also I have mentioned that it will take a 1 second break here. Fine. A square and cubes are there. Here, what we have mentioned, like whenever we are going to create those multiple, like multiprocessing, we have just created the object, just like object for this P1, P2, P1 for the square numbers and P2 for the cube numbers. Fine. We have just started it both and we have just joined the both. Join it means it's just waiting for both to complete and at last it just print both process completed. Now I am going to run that as well. See, whenever we are running this, both both processes are basically be running at the same times here. The cube of one is 2, square of 1 is 1, cube of 2 is 8, square of 2 is 4, cube of 3 is 27, square of 3 is 9. Like this, they both run parallelly. The both process is basically going to run parallelly. That's why it's basically a case of multiprocessing here is. Once again. So here in case of multiprocessing, each process run independently on different CPU cores, truly in parallel. So this after that, this is a command line argument with argparse is there. This module basically allow the script to accept argument from the command line, making this usual like whenever we are passing the argument from the command line interface, we can use this RG this one. I will show you that as well, like how it's working here. These are basically advanced concept that's fine. See, what we have firstly we have imported the argparse. Fine. So what we have done, we just want to use like what we want whenever we are trying to 1 second. Okay, fine. We have to pass the environment from here. Fine. Okay, okay. Deployment.py, not it should be main.py. In place of deployment.py, it should be main.py. Fine. Main.py. Fine. Oh, Python 3, it should be Python 3. Why I'm making mistakes here? Python 3. Now, fine. I'm going to clean it and want to run it again. Fine. It means what we are doing, we are basically trying to put those like passing the environment at the time of execution. Fine. That's what this is. That's why it's mentioned in ARG part. It means argument. It means we have to pass those arguments at that whenever we are trying to run it. Fine. And how it's working. So here we are just invoking the firstly we have used the argument parser functions here. Inside it we have just put the description of the script here. After that, we have just use add argument function. Inside it, it just take environment and help here. Fine. Help mention like either it's dev or prod. Fine. After we have just parse it and it is going to print like deploying to this environment. Fine. That's why it's mentioned deploying to prod environment. Here we have mentioned env prod. That's why it's been mentioned in prod environment. If we are if we are passing it as a staging environment, something a staging, it will print like deploying to a staging environment. Fine. So like what is it's been used here. Then we are like whenever we are to working with some environment file, environment variables basically store the sensitive data like API keys, password, and credentials outside the code. So in that case, we had to like I will show you that as well. For firstly, we have imported the operating systems module. After that, we have just want to print environment production and just want to print current environment at this. Fine. So just press enter. It means current environment production. So with the help of this, we can work with some environment file here. env is basically the environment variables. Now the last term is basically the time and scheduling of automating automation task. Fine. So we have two models. We have one time modules and we have some one schedule module is there. What time module does? Time modules, it means whenever we want like 5 second sleep, we can use time modules there. Fine. Import time, print this starting backup, time dot sleep 5 second, then backup completed. So whenever we want to sleep for some 5 second or some 10 second, we should use, firstly import time and have to use those time modules there. Starting backup, it will wait for 5 seconds, then it will print backup completed. Backup complete, fine. So it's just time modules there. It is used to measure the execution time or delay task execution. Then we have one schedule script as well, schedule module. Fine. What it does, it will schedule like I want to schedule every 10 seconds. I will show you how the output would be look like. Then you get a clarity here. Just enter. Why it's not working here? I think we have to download the schedule here because it's not pip install schedule. Oh, it's not installed here. That's why it will throw in it. Okay, don't worry. Fine. So what it like how it's basically be working here? I'm going to try one more times. Python 3 mode, no more modules. Oh, schedule is not there. So firstly, we have to download those schedule module here. Then we have been able to run this. So how we can do is firstly we have see observe this code here. Here we have job method where job methods are there, which is going to print checking server. It is going to print every time. After that, we have imported the schedule modules dot every 10 second and do the job. It means after every 10 second, it is going to print this one. And we have just used here while true schedule dot run pending and sleep for 1 second. So whenever this condition is going to be like true, the it will going to print those uh, thing and it will sleep for 1 more second. So that's how like this is how we can use these schedule modules there. And as far as the devs practices is concerned, like monitor server uptimes or automate cleanup tasks at interval, in these cases we can use this scheduling script. Schedule is basically a library that is basically used to run tasks periodically. Fine. So in this section, like advanced topic, I have tried to cover the iterative portions, iterators, generators, decorators. Then after I have discussed the context manager as well, how we are using the regular expression, RE modules, multi-threading, multiprocessing, argparse. Then after the environment variables, and at last scheduling. Scheduling is for periodic jobs. Fine. So I have basically tried to cover all those 9 topics here. So this basically ends the today's session. So I have tried to cover from basics to advanced in this Pythons for DevOps. So I will tell you like please do practicing because Python is something if you won't practice you won't get the clarity here. Fine. So you should have to practice more. Whatever the examples I have taken, you have to try it from your side. And if you found any difficulties and if you have any problems, feel free to ask me anytime on anywhere. Please do comment and I would love to answer your queries here. So by this way, I am going to end the session today. So please if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe my channel here. And I regularly used to upload DevOps and cloud related videos on YouTube. So please stay tuned with me. I will make sure like I will try to cover each and everything. Till now I have covered the Linux and AWS part and right now I am covering the Python part. In the upcoming session I will try to cover other tools and technologies as well from the DevOps. So please make sure to subscribe my channel and please stay tuned with me. Bye bye. Take care.